Hi. Hello. Hello there.
Go on.
We are, what's our name again?
Two cents, half cent.
Half cents. Half.
Oh.
Half, I'll say half. You say half. We're 2 cents, half cents. And, we're back with technically our first released episode, in case you missed our incredible live, where we went live 4 different times to talk about Batman Forever. We got very sidetracked in it, but that's completely okay. Very sidetracked. Will probably happen today as well. And we are here today to talk about Superman 2025 with a very honored guest. Please introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. Hello. I'm Lenny, also known as Seth Rogen Updates.
You're an esteemed guest, and I'm glad. Yeah. Yes. So.
Alright, so Superman.
What do we think?
What do you think? Do you wanna start with like the person who likes it the most, to the person who likes it the least?
That's me. I really liked it.
Shocker.
I've seen it twice so far. I saw it the first time with my cousins. IMAX. We went like the latest show at 11:40, I think. All 3 of us had a great time. Should be noted, two of us, not big Man of Steel fans, and we've been missing a good Superman adaptation. And also a third thing of note, the same too, he's like my filmmaker cousin. He apparently saw Superman Returns with me in theater in 2007 as well, or 6 or whatever. So this was the 3rd Superman movie we'd seen in theaters. I was really happy. That was a great thing for me. But we had a great time.
I mean, this was my first. Well, no, it actually wasn't my first Superman movie. It was because I remember they re-released the '78 movie back in theaters a couple of years ago, and I went to watch it with a couple of people. So that was my first Superman movie in theaters, technically. I remember Man of Steel came out, and I had like no interest in watching it, and I chose to watch Thor: The Dark World instead when that came out.
I have a similar story. December 14th, 2015. I was there for the fan screening opening night, not of Star Wars The Force Awakens, Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Road Chip.
Cinema.
That's
Maybe the
awesome.
biggest regret of my life.
Honestly, good choice.
That's so funny.
I would have done the same.
December 15th, 2015. Oh man, I was watching Force Awakens. Dude, I saw Alvin and the Chipmunks roadkill.
Since we were in 4th grade, we brought our friend's mom, and I know she was just in that theater seeing all those people walk into Star Wars, and she's like, God damn.
These goddamn kids, they're taking Alvin and the Chipmunks. I could be watching Star Wars.
Honestly, Chipmunks a better movie. And I say that as like the #1 sequel defender.
Yeah.
I do remember thinking, I walked on the road trip, I had a pretty same thing. I was like, no, that was a good step above Chipwreck. Chipwreck was a little bit disappointing, but I think they found their groove again.
You're really. Chipwreck was it's like a fine movie, but it's not. It doesn't live up to the potential of the potential of having these chipmunks be shipwrecked.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a lot more that could happen to it. I do love Simon in it. It becomes Simone, I think.
I haven't seen this movie in like a decade, so I have like no idea what this is about.
Remember French Simon? He has risen stuff.
Now that you bring it up, did Chipwreck just blatantly copy Toy Story 4 in the fact that one of the characters becomes Spanish-speaking and flirtatious halfway through? Yeah, sorry, Toy Story 3.
Yeah. Yes, I think it did. But instead of becoming Spanish, it becomes French, which is much worse.
Cool.
Let's see what the average rate is for each of these movies.
Whoa! Not a fate I would never.
This rating is all out of whack. So they have the first one top at a 2.7, which is fair. They have Chipwreck second with a 2.5. The Squeakquel third at 2.4, and the Road Chip last at 2.1.
Whoa! The Road Chip's last?
Why is that shocking? I feel like that's kind of obvious.
Correct. It's better than Chipwreck.
Road Chip was an easy step above Chipwreck.
Like, that shouldn't be a hot take.
I mean, I don't remember any of it, but I feel like just generally it was like the least popular one.
Isn't Shazam in it?
Because it came out at the same time as Force Awakens.
Yeah. Wasn't Shazam in it?
Yeah, Zachary Levi's. He's in the second one.
Yeah, he's in the second one. Yeah.
You know,
that's like the defining thing that I remember him for. Not even Shazam
I
or
don't
whatever.
remember anything about.
If I would ever meet him, I would tell him that as well.
Oh wait, no, that was the Chipettes first movie. Never mind. I thought Chipettes was the first one. Okay, no, I remember all these pretty solidly then.
Okay. Alright, so we go back to Superman.
Yeah, good on topic podcasting.
Superman. Yeah. So I saw it, had a great time. I was moved by it the first time around. Didn't cry, but like I was like, Indian theaters are very like expressive. Like we shout a lot, especially for like big movies like this. This was the most expressive I've seen in Indian theater since Endgame. So it was like crazy work because in Endgame they were going absolutely insane. And at one point I joined in as well. Like when we get to talk about some of the leg stuff, like when it gets caught in the end, I remember literally like being on my street like this. It was really satisfying. I really wanted to see that ball twink be beat up. I really wanted to see it. But yes, yeah, I loved it. One of you go next.
I think I'll go last because of my thoughts.
Yep, that's
so I was at this Prime special screening. I think this was America only. Wait, am I the only one here who lives in America? Okay. I take it you just said you were in Indian theaters, and then I is British.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I believe this Amazon Prime screening was only in America. Am I wrong with that?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So I went Tuesday night, and okay. A lot of people know, if you follow my account, you know that I am not the biggest James Gunn fan. But I want to make it clear, it is not about his movies. It is strictly personal. I don't like it. It's like the opposite to everybody says about Snyder. Everybody's like, yeah, I had nothing against the guy, I just don't like his movies. I'm the opposite. I like the guy's movies, I just don't like him. So, I went in with like a fair open mind. I wore my Superman shirt. I've been cynical on my account, but my hype in person. A lot of my family can definitely confirm that. Like I've been talking about it the last couple of weeks. So speaking of Superman movies I've seen in theaters, I also saw a re-release of Superman 78, which was an incredible experience, obviously. But that wasn't my first Superman movie in theaters. I had the honor of watching Justice League 2017 opening night.
So was I.
But
opening night. I was also there opening night.
So was I.
It is worth noting that, let's see, 2017, I would have been 6th grade, I think. So, 6th grade me, I did enjoy the movie. I actually loved it. My opinion is very much different now. I despise that movie now.
Same.
But as a kid, who was there and with a sold out theater, and weirdly enough, I felt more energy in that theater than I did on Tuesday. Not that there wasn't energy on Tuesday, I just remember the energy walking into Justice League was so high. I think because that was probably that would have been the first time seeing the Justice League on screen together. But there were like equal amounts of kids and adults in costume. Not like shirts, but like in costume and stuff. The audience was cheering and stuff. The energy was there. Like for as awful as that movie is, it was a really good experience. And I would have walked. My dad even liked it. I would have walked out that movie telling you this is going to be a crowd pleaser. But I also about 2 years ago, I walked out of The Flash to get the same thing. So which I saw that a month early, and that was probably the most excited crowd I've ever been in for a movie. Period. So, which is kind of funny in retrospect.
That's kind of funny.
So anyways, to Superman. So this was my first, I guess, newly released solo Superman I witnessed in theaters. And I was excited for that aspect because Superman is my favorite superhero. And, I enjoyed it, but I just felt a lot lacking. I think at its core, I never felt as inspired as I did for pretty much the entirety of the first Donner movie, and even the first flight of Man of Steel. I think I've said that a lot, but the Donner movie and the first flight have just had me like that peak, like, yeah, I'm gonna go save the world because I can be Superman too type feeling, which I didn't quite get from this movie. And my train of thought. And I think a lot of that derives from, I think the movie's biggest flaw, at least for me, is that it feels like a great sequel to a great first movie, but because we didn't get that great first movie, this movie falls flat. For me.
Right. Yeah, no, I kind of had the same thought. It just felt like the second or third movie in a trilogy, but we didn't get to see the first. Do we go to my thoughts now? Because I have like a lot of written thoughts.
That's like my blurb. That would be my opening paragraph.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get into it then more afterwards.
It's really interesting. For me, I remember I went for Justice League. The theater was empty. There were 5 people. There were 5 people, and my dad and I were one of them. So it was literally the complete opposite of, because, as I said, there was a lot of energy in Superman, in the Superman screening, even more so than the Flash screening. But there was a lot in the Flash screening as well, because Indian audiences are really stupid. I mean, Indian, they are. But there was a lot of energy for the Flash screening as well. But I did feel like at least within my theater, my second watch there was a bit of less energy. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because it was in a different city, and the city here is a little bit more. It has a different kick to it. The people here.
I do have one question.
Yeah.
Are either of those theaters okay? So some theaters you reserve seats, some theaters you just show up and get in line and then you pick a seat. Are both those theaters reserved seats or no?
Both are reserved. I mean, you can show up and get seats at the ticket counter, but usually.
Yeah. So, I think there's also so for reference, that theater I saw Justice League, it's closed now because it was pretty old, but you could buy tickets online, but you'd have to show up early to get good seats because they just didn't reserve them. The Flash thing was a press screening, so it was the same way because they don't have reserved seats. To show up, hope you get good seats. And I think that feeling of sitting in line for a little bit with a bunch of fans, I honestly think that adds to the anticipation a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that
gets energy going.
I think I have a complicated relationship with this movie because I was expecting it to be on the level of the Batman for me, which is on some days the greatest movie ever made. But my main hope for it was for it to capture the essence of the character in the same way the Batman did, and kind of reinvigorate the energy and excitement I've always felt for that character. Which in a way it did, just not the way that I wanted it to. I think it's a great movie to essentially reintroduce Superman and his mythos to a general audience. but it also, I just don't think it kind of excites me in a weird way.
And I'm just gonna interject real quick. I also think it kind of fails at the aspect of reintroducing Superman as general mythos, because, and I'll get a lot into this more in the later parts, but I think this movie underestimates how much the general public knows about Superman's origin.
No, I get you. I think it's complicated because there's a very thin line of like, you have to assume that the audience knows a lot, but you also can't handhold the audience in like teaching them about where these characters are from, where these characters are going, and it's like it's a very thin line, and it's like I don't think the movie pulls it off as well as it's trying to show it. Because like I mean it's a very clear like adaptation of Birthright. And it's like, as soon as you finish the movie, it becomes increasingly obvious why they didn't like market that as one of the key inspirations, because it would have straight up spoiled the movie. But I think the issue is that like Birthright, the main thing with that, it was like it wasn't guaranteed that Carol would ever make it to Earth. It was always as like the origin part of it was like this kind of desperate plea that the Earth wanted to save their son, and like they just wanted him to be a survivor and not just like the savior of Earth. And I think that's where it kind of misunderstands what the origin in this particular way is supposed to be. I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to talk a lot about the rest of the movie before that, but I think they just, like, on paper the film has a lot of plot lines and they all wrap up quite well, but I think it's just so action focused and on moving the plot forward as quickly as it can that like the emotions are the ones that get caught up the least. I think the emotions are forgotten about the most compared to everything else, which is what I think bothers me the most.
Yeah.
I definitely see that. Like, I think even with how much I really like the movie, and I've talked to you about this, but it desperately needed 20 to 30 minutes more to really like let the movie and some of its moments like breathe. Yeah. Because, like, for example, one of my best friends, she just went and saw the movie today. The theaters absolutely loved it. She called me afterwards. She was like, "This shit's fucking peak, bro." And I was like, yeah. And for some people, like, the fast pacing really does work because it keeps, you know, it keeps all of the flow very consistent, keeps the action consistent, and it feels exactly how it would feel if you're really in this scenario. You have all these things really happening as fast as they do. So there's definitely an argument to be made for the fast pace, especially when working with like general audiences and keeping this movie in theaters and making bucks and that stuff. There's an argument to be made there, but also on the other hand, I think, like, as someone who does like a lot of Gunn's other stuff, I think he held back a lot with the pacing and with just how the movie was structured. I think, especially, like, we'll get to this when we talk about characters, but you literally have a scenario where he shoves an entire group of characters into a spaceship and then just lets them hang around Metropolis in the entire third act, you know? Right. So I feel like it really did need the time to, like, just slow down and understand what to do with a lot of its cast beyond just the main few. Right,
and I think that bothered me quite a lot because there's so much confidence in how they cast their characters, and then a lot of them just don't really get much to do, which it's kind of a shame because like they are so well cast and they're so like they really embody the characters so much that if the film did have that extra 20-30 minutes, it could have really just taken it to a new level because it is very character focused, which I love.
Yeah. I also think having the Daily Planet crew like at the center of a lot of the destruction takes me out of it a bit. Because I feel like it just makes them seem kind of dumb for not putting 2 and 2 together that Clark is Superman. You know,
yeah, no, they never ask it. They never ask where the hell Clark is the entire time.
Because, like, they're all in Mr. Terrific's spaceship. They see, you know, Superman, and now I'm not usually one to say, the glass wouldn't protect him. Because I think people misunderstand the fact that most people just assume Superman doesn't, because, you know, Batman wears a mask, so he has to have a secret identity. Because Superman doesn't wear a mask, people just think he is Superman and always lives as Superman.
Yeah.
But I feel like when the Daily Planet crew is as tight as they are and they're getting involved in all these adventures, such as riding in Mr. Terrific's spaceship, I feel like I feel like they would catch on to some degree, especially because, you know, I assume that Clark and Lois want to go public with their relation at some point, but they kind of screwed themselves because they can't do that because they've made the relationship as Lois Superman pretty public as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to be addressed later, but yeah.
I definitely agree.
But I just think that shot of all the Daily Planet crew in the spaceship kind of took me out of it. I was like, that's a little bit silly.
That's a little bit silly. I definitely agree. And there's also like this added bit, like, maybe I'm getting over myself, but for example, it's this thing where, as you said, they're really well casted, and it really doesn't take advantage of a lot of the chemistry that these actors have with each other. My main example being Jimmy and Clark. You know, they have like one conversation the entire movie.
Right.
The very beginning. And then Jimmy
never has one scene with Superman.
Exactly, not one scene with Superman. It never addresses, alright, where's Superman, whatever.
Right.
Like, it doesn't, there's some scenes where you clearly can tell, okay, this was definitely cut, because there's no way that you have this casting for Jimmy, and you have this casting for Clark and Superman, and they don't have a scene together, where it's like really magical in that sense. Like, it feels like, it really does feel like a lot of these, more of the side characters were casted and then like created in this really creative sense, right? But then when putting them together, it just didn't always click out. Or I don't know what happened, but it definitely does feel like missed potential there.
Yeah, like rewatching yesterday, that opening scene where Clark walks into the Daily Planet and he's first off, I do want to say, with the little scene where when he walks over to Jimmy's desk and then Jimmy starts patting him on the side, Clark starts dancing, it makes me smile so much. I'm like, oh my god, I already love this dynamic.
Yeah.
And that's like the most we see of their dynamic.
Yeah, that's literally
all of the Clark Kent scenes in the movie are in the marketing.
Yeah, all of them.
And it kind of like, they built this huge set, it's like really well detailed, and then we just don't really spend enough time in it.
Yep.
And then the time that we do spend in it, all the scenes are look the exact same. Like they're all shot, they're all blocked the exact same, they're all lit the exact same. So it's
which is why. No, sorry, you finish.
It's just like I just feel like they had it in their mind that they're set to make this Superman movie, the boldest, biggest Superman movie that they can make, and then they did that. But then the final result feels just like there's so many pieces missing that they did do, but then they just left in the editing room.
Which is why it kind of feels like a part 2 without a part 1. Because it feels like we're supposed to have seen this dynamic with all of his coworkers built up already.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of mixed on the whole, this feels like a part 2 thing. Because I do like it sometimes when stories do that. Because, like, I saw someone describe it as, like, this is, like, dropping the audience into, like, a season 3 random episode of a show. And it's just, like, you just have to deal with it. And I do kind of like that, the prospect of that. But I think that the way that they kind of, like, structured the whole thing, it just doesn't work for me.
I think it doesn't work for me because, I kind of feel. I see Derek's thing moving.
Nope.
Oh, now he's muted. Okay.
Come
As much as I love the Donner movie,
that's on the plane in the background. Go ahead. I'm listening.
we've never had like an ultimate Superman origin story, you know? Like, the Donner movies completely skip over his childhood.
Right.
They don't really, like, they have the Daily Planet origin stuff, but, you know, we don't see him, like, meet Cat Grant and Steve Lombard and everything. We don't even really see much of his Daily Planet life because of the way that movie moves, which I think works for that movie. But I feel like, you know, we've never gotten like a Spider-Man 1 or a Batman Begins for Superman.
Right.
And I think...
It's interesting. It's an interesting point.
And I feel like...
Well, here, can I just interject for just 2 seconds?
Yeah.
While I do agree with that point, I think Cat Grant, Steve Lombard, Ron Troop, I think those are characters that you can work really well with in a comic book, in a TV series. But for a movie, I remember watching Superman 2025, I was dead ass wondering who the fuck Cat Grant was. I was dead ass wondering who Steve Lombard was. I was dead ass.
Like the most educated on Cat Grant is Steve Lombard.
I don't think anybody has. I mean, it's kind of like they are like integral characters. I mean, they play their part in like livening up the office. There are other reporters. They have different mindsets. They give Clark's life a lot more juice to it. There's an actual cast there. I just don't know if they work in a film as well as someone like Spider-Man's cast does. You know what I'm saying? Because like Spider-Man has like co-workers and whatnot, but
I think the thing is like with characters like Spider-Man, it's a very like specific thing where each side character has their own thing going on. Like in the Raimi films, MJ has this. She comes from an abusive family, and she has dreams of being an actress, and she's always been like looked down on it. And we get this whole thing through the Raimi trilogy of like what these characters are in themselves and what that means to Peter. And I can't really see any of these side characters in Superman being like their own characters in themselves outside of Clark Kent. And maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not, but like just the fact that they have good chemistry with each other, but we don't get a chance to actually explore who these characters are. I think maybe a couple lines. Most of them just being like comedic relief too. It does kind of bother me just a little bit that the time that we do spend with them isn't like it's only for Superman's character. It's not for like anything else outside of that.
And it kind of feels like what Ab and I have talked about a lot. This movie feels like an aggressive overcorrection from Snyder, where it's like, oh, people were mad they never saw Jimmy Olsen. Well, lucky for them, we're gonna shove literally every Daily Planet side character into this, and it's like so on the nose in the final act, where they're like, we can squeeze 6. She's like, okay, Steve, you can come too. It's like almost like a meta in how much they're forcing these characters.
The fuck did Steve even do?
He had like 2 lines of dialogue the whole film.
Yeah,
Grant is just.
That's another fan point.
It's interesting too how he chooses to include the Daily Planet cast, because I would have liked them more if we saw their dynamic with Clark himself. Because Clark isn't in the movie, they kind of just exist.
Right.
You know, that's something I think really worked with the Raimi films. In particular, is that cast always someone has an exchange with Peter Parker every time he's on screen in that moment. They're always talking to Peter or talking around Peter or something about Peter. And then here, it's like they have a conversation with, I guess, Lois. Cat Grant has a conversation with Lois, and I don't really understand. I don't understand what the characters are doing here.
Right, and it's just like the conversations that they do have just feel meaningless. Like they don't serve anything for the characters. It's just like they have to say something in the scene to stay relevant, but it doesn't actually like serve anything for who they are. And
like I really think the movie kept the energy up that it did in that first Daily Planet scene with Clark coming in. If they had that same energy for the rest of the Daily Planet scenes, I really think these characters would just be better and like more like, you know, because every other interaction that these characters have with each other feels just plot relevant, and they're just like, oh yeah, no, this Lombard, you come to, whatever. But that first scene, I really do like that first scene because of how, you know, it treats their dynamic with Clark. You know, it's each of these characters being introduced by when they're talking to Clark. As Clark is walking in, Jimmy, you know, slapping him with a newspaper and stuff. Like, it's cute. It's really well done in that scene for me. I just wish the rest of them kind of followed that.
Right, and it's like the inverse of that with Lex's crew, which I really like the scenes in the whole control room where it's like this essentially cult following of Lex's workers, and they're all trying to defeat Superman, and it's like they don't have that much. Like they all are kind of like mindless. But you get a couple glimpses of it, of like them trying to, you know, save themselves, or like when they realize that Lex is like actually insane, and they have to save the city or they're gonna get killed. There are like some glimpses of that, and it's like, I don't know. I want more of that. I feel like in those extra 30 minutes that we could have had just one extra scene of his workers, or you know, of Eve being an interesting character outside of, you know, being kind of annoying. Which I really did not like Eve in this movie.
That's the problem right there, is the fact that there are too many characters in the film, right? Now, because like if I have to go back to the Richard Donner film, if you go back to the Richard Donner film, like it's a very contained cast. Now, granted, do I think Lex Luthor should have more than just two goons with him? Sure. But because of how contained his cast is, you get some beautiful back and forths with both him and Miss Tethmacher and him and Otis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's like the movie is what, 2.5 hours, 3 hours long. There's an extended edition that's 3 hours long, and they make use of every minute of that. Like, have characters just be naturally themselves, as opposed to just serving the main characters. And I think that's what that movie does so much better compared to this one. But I will say that, like, the stuff that they do with characters, like with Clark, with Lois, I think it does work really well with like the film's whole message by the end of it, and like what they're trying to say with it. I just think that like it really needed so much more time to just take a second and just breathe a little bit.
Yeah, especially.
I mean, that's just that's just the issue with the whole movie. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, like for me, it's exactly that, where it's like, you know, needs more time, especially with Clark and Lois, because for me, like, you know, I really like Clark and Lex in the movie. I really like how their relationship is explored. Of course, you don't get all of it, and I do get the things about it feeling like kind of like a sequel to a movie we haven't seen. But I really do like that part of the movie. I think it's maybe the strongest part of the movie. But then you have Clark and Lois, who have three of maybe the best scenes in the movie. You know, like they're really well delivered between each of them. But since each of these scenes are so, you know, apart from each other, and since there's nothing between them that really happens between Clark and Lois, there's feel like
through line basically. It's just like each scene kind of cut into each other, and it's like one thing that really bothered me coming out is that James Gunn kind of referred this movie as like this is both Superman and Lois' movie. Like it's not one without the other. And he's right, but it's also like you don't see that. Like they have like a maximum of 5 scenes, 6 scenes together.
Yeah. Exactly. It's Superman and Lois, but it's not Superman and Lois. You know, like it doesn't feel like it's a movie that really embraces them together, because the arc that they go through is literally only relevant to 3 scenes that they're both in.
Right.
Like that is the progression of their arc, rather than the entire movie being the progression to their arc and an eventual like confession to each other by the end. So it really like needed more time to sit in that case, you know.
Yeah, see, that's the interesting thing about this film, because a lot of people have really started to, you know, they compare it to the Batman in a lot of sense, where it's like, oh, it's not an origin, you get to be dropped into this world and experience all these things. But I'm like, okay, the Batman does drop you into the world, but it still takes its time to establish things through not only just through dialogue but character interactions, right? You don't know the first time Gordon and Batman meet, but based on their interactions and the things they say to each other, you're gonna say, okay, they're cool, they're friends. Gordon, you know, is the stray cop, you know what I'm saying? And he they have a funny dynamic, funny back and forth. It feels very genuine and real. And then he has this relationship progress with Catwoman. I think the only character that suffers in the Batman is Alfred. That's the only character that I'm like, you could have done a little bit more with him. But in Superman,
my biggest thing is like there's so many scenes in the Batman where it's like it trusts the audience to know what this means to these characters, what what the audience perception of these characters are, and like how this specific element would like mean to what they think this character would be. And I think Superman kind of it's not exactly hand-holding, but I don't think it's like it lets go and just like allows the audience to experience the story as much as it needs to. I think it's.
I mean, because Batman had Nolan to go off of. Right. You just got like the best Batman films. The whole trilogy of understanding his lore, his backstory, woo. But Superman hasn't had something like that since before we were born, man. And he acts like everybody already gets it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So how would you forget about the movie where there was 20 minutes focused on Krypton, you know? 20 minutes in Krypton, Jor-El's origin.
Right.
So to compare it to Homecoming, another movie that takes like such an iconic character, skips the origin and gets into it.
Yeah.
First off,
I mean, I think
the Raimi movies are like the pinnacle superhero origin movie. Like, you know, Batman and Superman, the original ones, Keaton and Reeves, like defined superhero movies for a while. But I wouldn't call them like definitive origin movies. They skip over a lot.
Okay.
But I feel like, especially what?
Especially Keaton's, like 89.
Yeah, it skips over the origin with. So yeah, I don't think you could have done the Batman without Batman Begins. You know. But anyways, Homecoming, you have the Raimi movies. You also have TASM. And so the Homecoming skips over Uncle Ben. And what I like about how Homecoming handles it, if you're familiar with Spider-Man lore and Uncle Ben, you can still see how the values that you know Uncle Ben taught Peter impact him in the movie. But the movie doesn't like constantly rely on this dynamic between Peter and Uncle Ben that we never actually saw on screen.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie relies too much on the dynamic of Superman and the Kents, Superman and Lois, Superman and Luthor, that we didn't actually see prior. And it's like, we've seen them in other movies, but I don't know the impact on this character. Like, I think Homecoming would have been much weaker if Aunt May would say, like, remember what your Uncle Ben said. Instead, that movie more focuses on the dynamic of May and Peter that we see on screen, while still having like an impact from Uncle Ben that can be more implied from super fans.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I
It's
think
the
it
same
feels.
philosophy.
Yeah.
It's the same. Homecoming follows a similar philosophy to Superman 2025, in which they're both overcorrections. But the difference is, and I think that's a very safe movie because it's an overcorrection it's having to. It's interesting how Homecoming takes its time to like center itself, and you get to see his longing, you can see his desires, his wants, and wanting to be with Liz, and wanting to tell people he's a party trick or whatever, or wanting to do the right thing and defy Iron Man. And then you have Superman, who just you're told everything about his character and everything about everything around him. Just Lois, this will never work out. I knew this would be bad. Then the next scene, I love you, Lois. I'm like, dude, like we had like one scene with you guys together, that scene ended in a fight, and now you guys are in love. I don't understand.
Right. It comes off to me as like these are all boxes that they need to, like James Gunn sat down and he wrote on a notepad like all the boxes that need to be checked. Like, we need to go to the Kent farm. We need to have a scene with the Kent. We need to have Krypton in it. We can sell the movie from that dog. We have to go to the Fortress of Solitude. Like all these things happen, but it doesn't feel like a natural thing. Like it feels as like I feel like, I mean, I said this when I first saw it, that it does feel like an overcorrection of Snyder's Superman, and I do agree. I think it may be a little bit harsh to say that, but it just like the movie tries to juggle so many different things in like a span of 5 minutes that like not even one thing kind of really lands.
Unfortunately so. I think the strongest thing the film has is the dynamic between Luthor and Superman, and that's probably the best thing it has going for it.
Much to the credit of Nicholas Hoult, who far and away.
Dude, he's so good in the movie.
He's so good.
He's so good. Dig to the rest of the cast, but he's leaps and bounds above the rest of the cast in this movie. If you
I feel like he understands the movie too. He understands I feel like he's one of those actors who truly like gets what James Gunn was doing with the film, and he just leans so heavily into. He's
an incredible actor. Derek, have you seen Mad Max Fury? I know it doesn't like it too much, but Derek, have you seen Mad Max Fury Road?
Y'all keep asking me about Mad Max Fury Road. I haven't seen that one Mad Max movie in my life, man.
I'll keep quiet.
I saw the menu. I saw something else with Nicholas Hoult in it.
His character in Fury Road is like far and away my favorite character in the whole movie. It's one of my favorite movies. And he takes such like, it would have been such an easy performance to screw up by making him too annoying, too likable, too unlikable. And he just nailed. I love Nicholas Hoult, and I was so happy he was Luthor.
I was so worried when he has lines like that whole envy monologue that he delivers, and I was like so convinced that like stuff like that would be so corny or so like just not delivered with like the level of sincerity that you need, but like he adds this level of like snarkiness to it. It's just so perfect, and he's one of my favorite performances.
He probably. I don't think anyone else could have been. I think if anyone else was Lex Luthor in this movie, he probably would be weaker for it. This is one of the cases where the actor's elevating the material rather than material meeting him on the same wavelength. Like they're not like he's absolutely taking everything in this movie and going ham with it. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful performance.
Three, it makes me like, I don't know if you guys also had this experience, but I really like I wanted to like by the end I wanted to crawl into the screen and punch that ball twink myself, because like like I hated him like by the end, and that was really well done by him. I hated him.
That's sort of the counterpoint. Not to the fact that he's hateable. He's very hateable. Let me make that clear. But I also do feel like, because we didn't really see exactly like where his distaste for Superman began, I wasn't as sold on this. Now, the acting definitely helps, but I wasn't like completely sold on this hatred. Like, I was kind of like, why does he really that much? And I think that's also because I think the weakest part of Donner Superman is the Superman and Lex dynamic is a bit undercooked.
Yeah.
And so I still don't feel like we've seen the true origin of their conflict on screen yet.
Right. Smallville does it really good. I just think like the problem with Smallville is that it like really drags it out. So it can be a little bit tedious to get.
You got Superman and Lex Luthor being friends with their kids, and Superman's fighting like Doomsday, man. Like he's not even down the cave, man. He's already fighting Doomsday. Like there's something wrong here, okay? There's something wrong.
Smallville and the Gotham show are like so funny to me because these are both set before these characters become like the superheroes they're known as, and they've already like beaten half of the rogue gallery.
Why is this?
He's like 30 years older than Batman. What do you mean?
Like Smallville was 10 seasons, right?
6, I think.
Smallville again.
The Smallville's
Smallville's 10 seasons. Like how do you even do that?
Well, it's a CW show, man. They just kind of plays the teen drama.
I also love that the poster is like Superman with like an S. It looks like sunburned on his skin almost.
Oh yeah.
I think it's the good sex, bad legs one.
Yeah.
I love that book.
You could tell James Gunn was a fan of Smallville right when making this.
Yeah.
I guess he assumed that you watched that show as well, and you have a good idea of everything. I don't know if I feel like Lex Luthor in this movie. I think there's two ways to do Lex Luthor. Either he's just an evil businessman, or he believes that, or he's just a guy who does really good things or really good things to the best of his ability as an evil billionaire. But then Superman shows up, and now Superman's the coolest thing on earth, and everybody forgets about Lex. Right? So there's the envy, and then there's the you just get in my way, type of thing. And I feel like no one has really grasped either or committed fully to either version of that. I think Donner was very much an 80s villain, in which I like the chemistry that him and Reed had, but I don't feel like he was a real estate agent in the Donner films.
I think the issue with like a lot of Lex Luthor adaptation is like that line from the end of All-Star Superman where he's like, if you really wanted to save the world, you would have done it a long time ago. I feel like too many adaptations focus on the fact that like he can save the world, but not on the fact that like he doesn't, because it would be like an ego thing. And it's like we got it close in this new movie where he's like, all I wanted to do is beat you. Like I couldn't care less about anything else. That I think did really work well for me, and like characterization I did was like really good.
I think that's one of my biggest problems with like I guess Donner Luthor is that he's not really a public figure, and I think that's really important for Lex is to be someone the public knows.
Right.
Because it also makes dynamic, like the fact that he seemingly like has everything, but he's just focused on this one guy.
Yeah.
Right.
And Donner Superman, he's like an underground troll almost.
Yeah.
One of the greatest criminal mind of our time.
Alright. Joel, what are we thinking? Now we get to the meaty part of the film, the Joel stuff.
So James Gunn has got to be one of the most irritating people. And he read one of the worst Superman runs of all time to want to do this Jor-El. I don't understand why he hyped up the immigrant aspect of Superman in this movie. And then one of the biggest things is, so these guys are like xenophobic against like Superman, but they have a point because Superman was sent here to kill people, and that storyline is never resolved in the movie. He will just forget about the fact that he was sent to kill people and slay the world.
With the movie Elemental. they try to do these immigration metaphors, allegories, whatever. But the biggest thing they get wrong is the fact that racism is stupid. Racism is supposed to be something that you're stupid if you believe in it. But it's like in Elemental. If fire and water touch, they will literally die. They're not stupid for staying apart. In this movie, they literally have Superman's parents saying, go rule those plebs, kill them if you have to.
Right.
There is valid reason to be cautious and afraid of him. There is not valid reason to be afraid of Mexicans.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, oh, you have a reason, and that's why I don't like the ending. Because I'm like, but Lex Luthor was right. Yes, the Moravian nonsense where them trying to colonize and, you know, destabilize the country, that's wrong. But Lex Luthor was correct. I mean, Superman was sent here to kill people. So, are we going to resolve that? Is that ever? No. I guess we were cool with Superman because he stops Metropolis from being destroyed, but Superman saves the day all the time. So, I don't understand. I don't get it, right? I think that twist, and you hear someone saying, oh, it's probably a Brainiac thing where later it's going to be fixed up and they're going to come back and retcon. I'm like, okay, but it's baked into the themes of this specific movie, right? This film has that. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that people are now saying that Jor-El is not as important, or Laura-El, they're not as important as Bob Clark Kent to Superman. What are we doing?
I mean, it bugged me as well, because like I remember Gunn saying that like one of the biggest selling points for the movie, for him to write it, is that like he really wants to focus on this being Superman kind of coming to terms with both his like human heritage and his Kryptonian heritage. But like the way that he portrayed it by the end is like him wholly rejecting the Kryptonian side of him, and that's like not. I maybe not wholly, but it's rejecting in like favouring the human side of him, which I don't think was the right move. Because like, I mean, I love the idea of like Superman's own view of himself is that like it has to be redefined in a way. He has to speak for himself and what he stands for and what his own choices are. Especially in like a meta way of like how Superman is seen in the public eye in the last few years. I think like the last scene of him being like, oh, that's the thing you don't understand about me, Lex, I've always been human. I think it's a little bit on the nose, and I think it's a little bit kind of out of character for him to have that whole speech to Lex. But I think it's a very well-intentioned idea to have this Superman make the decision to stand for himself and like redefine himself in the public eye, both in the context of the film and in the outside of it.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, out of curiosity, do y'all think Martian Manhunter is gonna have to give the whole "I'm human too" speech to be valid, or like that speech is like, hey, I'm human, guys. I'm just human as anybody else, even though I'm alien.
He has a scene with Martha Kent where he's like, I'm human. He pretends to be Lois, and he walks out being like, I'm human after all.
With the girl who is actually killing people. So.
Right. I mean, I like that this is a Superman that is confident on, or like learned, I guess, to be confident in what he stands for. Like by the end, I really liked the decision to not have Superman himself show up in Johanpur to save, to stop the military. I think it was a really good idea to have the Justice Gang show up instead, and like show that they've been kind of galvanized by Superman, his kind of courage. The only issue I have is that there's no scene prior to that of him actually being able to talk to the Justice Gang or seeing what impact that he had on the Justice Gang. All we have is like them seeing the news broadcast and then deciding to show up.
I feel like their minds changed for no reason.
Right. It does come across that way.
And as much as I think that
when they're like looking at like the news, and you think that's the implication, but as you said, it really feels like, aside from terrific, it feels like it happened for no reason. Like I could not tell you why
he says to Lex, like, I called some guys or whatever it was that he said, and it's like, when?
Right, which makes even
when did
less
you do
sense.
That?
Yeah. I also think, just a little aside here, as much as obviously the dictator guy deserved to die, I feel like just having Hawk Girl straight up murder him is kind of like a cheap.
It does, yeah. No, it does feel a little bit understated.
When you have a character, because the main character, obviously, he's not going to kill people. They can't do that.
Right.
And I feel like they could have done something just like more creative to work around that, instead of just like, okay, you know, it's not like you're watching a Batman and it's like, and Batman, Joker's like, are you gonna kill me? And Batman's like, no, I'm not gonna kill you, but you know, I guess he can. And like Gordon just walks in and shoots Joker. Like, that'd just be lame and cheap.
No, I mean, that's the thing. Like, they spend so much time on like showing Superman himself, like saving people, and like you know, trying to minimize damage, and then they show that like the Justice Gang don't really care that much about it, but then there's no like journey to explain like why, or if they get inspired by Superman to like help Downfall, but they don't like what is their actual, you know, why are they doing it? Like, because like doing the right thing, but what is the actual thing behind it for them to get to that point?
Yeah, I think, like, I agree, definitely, but also on the other hand, I genuinely do really think that just the idea of Hawkgirl killing the Netanyahu equivalent is so funny to me. And that alone, you know, I look at it and go, that's pretty sick. I don't know why she did that, but good for her. You know, like, I like it in that sense, but also it does, like, that question, like, why are they doing this? Where did the turn happen?
Right.
Because you can tell what happened for Terrific, but he's not there. He's in Metropolis. So did he convince them?
Terrific. He says to Superman, "You need to come," and then like he immediately gets tackled by Ultraman. He gets knocked out, and then he wakes up in the stadium, and then doesn't do anything until after Superman has beaten Ultraman. He suddenly turns up, being like, "What are you doing, messing around?" But he was
doing very important stuff. He was playing with Crypto. They cut the scene. Do you ever know how important that is?
Trying to figure out where the dog store is so Crypto can have treats.
Exactly. He helped them find them, and then play with Crypto.
I sent this tweet to Lenny and Derrick, but then it was a Reddit comment. The most poor taste comment I've seen in so long. Someone said, "Man, I love Mr. Terrific so much. His voice reminded me so much of Kirk Lazarus from Tropic Thunder." You're gonna compare it, man. It's like, oh, he was so cool. He reminded me of Jim Crow. What?
It reminded me of a white man's impersonation of a black person. That's just straight comical. I'd say it's straight.
Tropic Thunder is like, this guy is very racist and stereotypical.
It reminded me of this crazy stereotype.
Yeah, I saw another one, and it was Superman spoilers without context, and I was swiping through, and I don't even know what it was trying to say. One of them was just George Floyd. It's like, what the fuck is up with the fans of this movie?
Yeah.
It's weird.
That's
going back to like the whole of Justice Gang not changing, but like Superman so focused on like saving people. That's what they just had him like I guess not kill Ultraman, but not like make the effort to save him. Like they just brushed over it really quickly, and that really bothered me after they spent so long putting in time of like he cares so much about like every kind of life. Like we don't even get like a passing comment of him being like, "Oh no, I didn't save him," whatever.
And like it's hard to just pass him off as like a mindless drone either, because there's moments where he acts without Lex's accordance. So he definitely at times feels like a real person.
Right. And then in turn that makes it feel like the ending where after Lex gets exposed and then they're watching like the news report. The reporters are like, "Oh, we were wrong this whole time. Superman was innocent," and it's like, no, where did you get that from? Like that's not like how do you know?
Yeah.
Like just because Lex is a traitor doesn't mean that like the whole thing was faked. Like you don't know that, you can't assume that. So it just feels like a really random conclusion to add on to like just to make Superman look good.
I do think it's kind of funny that the most controversial aspect of Man of Steel is the relationship with the Kents, but everybody agrees like his relationship with the L's is like peak. And then in this one's the opposite, where everybody's like mixed on his relationship with the L's, but everybody thinks his relationship with the Kents is awesome.
Right.
Which probably goes into that overcorrection territory, you know.
100%.
What?
That? Who's going?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Like for me, I think like to go back to the L thing since we're back there. I think Gunn did a wrong move by saying that this is an immigrant story, because it really isn't. It's because if it was meant to be an immigrant story from the very beginning, the message is forget your old culture, your new culture is better. Assimilate, forget. You know, that doesn't really work. It's far more an anti-colonial story, and I kind of really like it for that, but also I can't tell if that was the intention to begin with, because I like the idea of a Krypton that is so above Earth that they consider it lesser. I like that, because Krypton has always been kind of white saviors fully personified as a race of aliens. You know, they decide, you know, aside from Birthright, they aside from that story in Birthright, every other adaptation usually has, all right, we send our kid, you know, our you know, this brand new kid, we send him there to Earth, and he protects them, he saves them, brings them out. So I like that idea of it turning that allegory on its head and asking, okay, but what does saving really mean for a culture like this, for a predominantly, at least in most adaptations, a predominantly white-based, very colonial-feeling culture, a very westernized culture that's very, you know, technology-dependent. So what does that really mean? So I like that. I like the concept of that and how it throws that concept into the movie. That, okay, so let's turn it on our head. This is a deeply anti-colonial movie, both when dealing with stuff with John Burr and dealing with Superman's origin and stuff like that. And instead of it being him rejecting Krypton wholly, because he really doesn't, he just rejects his parents' wishes, it's about him embracing his personal identity and how that relates to both sets of his parents. So I like that, but also, like, as you were saying, Derek, it doesn't really add up to anything, because we really never address that message from the L's ever again, like aside from like 2-3 scenes. So there's that, for me, there's like a concept in there that's really strong about this, you know, this being who was sent here to be deeply colonial, to, you know, to essentially uproot Earth, you know, as a whole, to uproot the cultures of Earth with his own. So there's a deep concept within that I really, really like. But in the end, they don't really do anything with it, with that side of Krypton in him. They just say, oh, he embraced Earth, he's embraced the place that he was sent to conquer, and it's cool. But they don't really, it doesn't feel like it's concluded. It just feels like it's been left off. It's probably going to be concluded in Supergirl or something, but like I wish that this movie took just like a few more minutes to really like hammer that point in and like fully conclude it, because like my thought on this is that maybe this is just how I'm taking the movie. I have no idea if Gunn wrote it this way. He probably didn't. I feel like there's some dissonance there, especially with how this movie was presented and with how that part was written and how it's presented in the film itself.
Right. So, I mean, I guess we can try and decode what Gunn's actual intention was all day. I mean, the way it kind of come down to it is he tries to deconstruct this public image that Superman is this all-seeing, all-powerful, all-knowing godlike figure basically, and this whole thing of he's just Christian allegory. He's just I guess just how is he relatable if he's a god type figure, right? And most people, the origin that they know of him is that he's sent to Earth to help people. So I think that idea specifically is what it wants to play with, of challenging how people would behave in that situation of is this an immigrant story or is this an anti-colonial story? I think he just kind of it gets a little jumbled. I don't think what he's trying to say becomes clear.
Yeah.
And that kind of weakens the emotional moment for me. Nothing really. It just feels a little bit hollow to me, knowing how it can play out.
I definitely agree. There's a lot of dissonance there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's very confused in a lot of ways, and it just goes back to being an overcorrection. It's the reason why I'm like James Gunn. You have to get off social media. You just need to lock in, right? Superman doesn't. He doesn't have to have this big old grandstanding of I get lost, I get scared, I make mistakes. You don't have. That doesn't have to be the way that you make Superman relatable and down to earth. A lot of people, Superman is their dad, right? Most Superman adaptations, especially, I think, mainly the only time he's not really a father figure in a lot of ways is when he's Superboy. But in most Superman adaptations, he's more like Optimus Prime. He's more like a father figure. He's more like the guy you ask when you need directions and dad will do what you will. And then he goes home, hangs up his kid, and he's like, dang, I just did a lot today. That was a lot on me. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to make him this very young, very brash, very, I can't control my dog, or nobody really listens to me.
Right.
I'm like 20-something years old, you know. You don't have to do all that to make Superman relatable. You don't have to deconstruct him in that way. And I feel like the problem is, for a lot of filmmakers, is they're so focused on making him relatable to the current generation, making him have a specific message for the current generation, that they don't understand the fact that Superman is multi-generation, right? He's the Superman that your parents grew up with is kind of similar to the Superman that we're growing up with. You know what I mean? So the nature of, we have to make him younger or brasher or a little louder, or he maybe gets a little more animated or scared, or even this Superman has to lose in place. He has to get his ass kicked more. I was watching the movie like, damn, Superman, get the fuck up. Well, why you letting beat on you like that, Superman?
I also weakened the impact of the Ultraman reveal, that it is just a clone of him, and it's being controlled by Lex. I think just because every time he gets his arse handed to him is from the Ultraman. So it's that really kind of weakened both that reveal and just who Superman is trying to be by the end of it.
Which is interesting, because Ultraman has nothing to do with the themes of the movie. The clone of Superman has nothing to do. You could have the entire movie, Ultraman's not in it. He adds nothing to the film. He has nothing to do with. If James Gunn thought about it for 2 seconds and thought of this could be an allegory for what Superman would be like if he was just saying to conquer the planet. So this is the aspect of his heritage. He's not trying to be in tune with or whatever. Something more brash, more aggressive. Look, you watch all these other comic movies. You watch you read all these comics, man. I would have looked at Logan and said, okay, I'm gonna take something from that. All right, if you want to have this clone, you gotta have something that speaks to the character himself. If X-24 and Logan was just a guy and just a guy for Logan to fight, then it would be boring. I know people are mixed on that decision, but what I loved about X-24 was the fact that was who Logan saw himself as. He saw himself as a murderer. When he says, "Don't be what they made you," to Laura at the end, that's who he's talking about. Don't be that guy. Don't be the murderer. Don't be the that hurts, that sticks with you. You know, you can make an argument for that. But Ultraman, he shows up. He's there to fight Superman, lame ass reveal, and then he dies or becomes Bizarro or whatever. I don't know. And that's it. He has nothing to do with the themes of the movie. Nothing to do with the themes of colonialism or heritage or being an immigrant or being a parent or Lex Luthor being the evil dude. He's just there for Superman to fight somebody.
Dude, because you said it perfectly. It takes 2 seconds for him to become an Allegri for 2 seconds. That you can easily make Ultraman into who his parents sent him to be. That's who he was meant to be. Cool. Done.
This is what I thought they were going to do from the beginning. Like, as soon as they introduced Ultraman, I thought it was going to be a very simple thing of like, oh, he's going to be a clone, and they're going to have Superman be this character that like has to show people the old-fashioned way of like doing things the right way. And then they just didn't do that for some reason.
They just didn't. It's just like, why?
I'm asking people why they're like saying, oh, this is the hope Superman. This movie is filming with so much hope. It inspired me to be better. I'm like, give me one person that Superman inspires this whole movie. Give me one. Give me a scene
that's the thing, but like, I think it gets the core of it completely right. Of like, Superman at his core is, if you can help someone, you should. If you have the resources or the ability to intervene and help people, you should. That I think it gets it right. I just don't think it conveys that nearly as well as it should be able to.
No, not at all. You know who did convey that well? Spider-Man 1. In which you see it, and that's another thing too that I didn't like about this movie. I'm supposed to care when Metropolis turns on Superman, yet I have no idea how Metropolis feels about Superman.
Right.
We don't have a montage. We don't have an interview basis. We just get Superman's cool. He's popular online, but we don't see that. Like, the guy that helps Superman in the crater, and I'm like, dang, man, that's like 15 minutes.
Also, what we do see of Superman in his relationship with Metropolis is half the people saying you shouldn't have intervened in Barovia. So we're already kind of in this movie, like, okay, Superman is a controversial figure, and then when that video recording plays, it almost feels like nothing really changes that dramatically.
Right.
Because, like I said, Superman's already controversial because of his Barovia stuff.
Right, and it's another thing where like they have so many moments that undercut previous moments. Like just before the reveal of the message, that when they're fighting the kaiju and they kill the kaiju, Superman has this line of like, oh, I wish we took him to the zoo, I wish we could have helped him, whatever. And then Green Lantern tells him to shut up, and he just does. And then he never gets mentioned again.
Yeah.
And that kind of bothers me because it's like Superman is shown to care for all life, but does he? Like, that's what's so confusing to me. Like, they just brush it off as like a side thing that he doesn't really care about, and then it's never mentioned again.
Now let me bring this up. Okay, I love how, remember when Superman's suit first got revealed and he was put on his boot and people were like, oh my god, Superman's in his house chilling and there's something outside destroying the city, right? Why is he chilling? In the movie, there's something actually outside fighting individuals, and he's like, oh, they can handle that, they gotta take care of it. I'm like, dude, you literally spent 5 minutes of the kaiju fight saving squirrels, saving little girls, saving people, stopping collateral damage. Right. It's clear the Justice Gang don't give as much of a flip as you do. It's clear, and you're like, oh, it's cool, they got it. So, are they cool with killing? They kill with murderers, they're cool with casualties or damage or whatever, and you just like, That's cool. I don't understand.
That's something I noticed on my second watch yesterday. Is when the kaiju falls, and he's about to kill 100 people when the kaiju falls.
Right.
None of the other Justice Gang even try to stop the kaiju falling everybody. And even though they're kind of portrayed as assholes, I feel like that was just out of character for them. Like, they straight up would have just let and watched that whole thing fall on 100 people.
Yeah, no, I think, I mean, I don't, it kind of, I'm kind of mixed on it, because it's like, it is to show the, like, the progression of, they go from, like, these corporate slaves, basically, to actually giving a shit of doing something with their powers. But we don't actually see that transformation, is what bothers me so much. Like, I really like the before and after, but we don't actually see any of the middle bit, and that's what it really takes it out of me.
Conversation with Lois, and then suddenly Guy Gardner is a good guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's never happened to Guy Gardner ever before, so I don't know why they're trying this now. It just, yeah.
No, I just don't understand. There's a lot of the film that I'm very lost on, because Lois Lane comes into the film like, hey guys, Superman's your friend, and you're letting him go to prison and be locked up, and they're like, whatever, bro, like, he's an alien who said to call for friends, I don't care. And I'm sitting here like, okay, so why are they friends? What about this film gives you the impression these guys are like best buddies, they care about each other, or they're gonna go out to dinner with each other, or go to parties on weekends or whatever? What about them or anything in the movie gives you the impression that they're friends and they care about each other? And even the last time we see Guy Gardner in that, or with Superman, they're about to get into a fight. So when does Superman have a chance to like inspire them to do anything, or when do we get to see them like have a dynamic where you would believe that they'd be friends? What are we talking about?
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, it's literally just they have an arc. We don't see the arc. We don't see why, and it does really get frustrating, especially on rewatches, because you look at it and you're like, but like, why are they here? I'm glad they are. It's a cool scene. I like that Guy Gardner does something for once in his life. But, you know, like, why is he doing this?
Right.
What made them
there's so many interesting scenes, like, the idea of an evil Krypton, or an evil version of Carol's parents, I think it can work, but it has to essentially mirror the way that has our own flaws. It has to compare the flaws of the people of Earth, of everything that their governments do, of everything that they do to like control people. It has to essentially how Krypton is. It has to relate back to Earth, but it doesn't do that. It solely focuses on the relationship between Cal and Krypton, instead of how Cal sees his relationship with Krypton and how he sees his relationship with Earth.
Yeah. Like, it's literally just what Invincible does, except not as fully like it's literally just that what they were trying to do. It's just Viltrum.
Right.
It's like a word exactly.
Yeah.
And
Which is
I said, and I compared it to like Viltrum and that whole arc, and I was just like, wow, they didn't do anything with this in the movie. Like why?
That's another thing too, because I'm like, okay, this would make sense. Because like, have y'all all read Superman Birthright? Is that something y'all are familiar with?
Yeah.
Okay.
I read it, I think 2 years ago, but I kind of forget a little bit of it.
So the thing with Birthright is, in that story, he can't speak Kryptonian, so he doesn't understand what his parents are saying. But he believes it's like, okay, they want me to be good, right?
Right.
The Lex corrupts it, and it's this whole huge thing. And so but what worse about that is the fact that he doesn't speak Kryptonian. He doesn't have a connection really to his Kryptonian heritage. He doesn't really understand it, right? In this movie, it's established that he knows his cousin Clara. He knows her. They believe.
That's the point. Yeah.
You're not gonna go ask your cousin, hey, did they send me here to And your cousin never came to you and said, hey, you're not gonna go, are you gonna, like, enslave humanity yet? Or do you not care about that part? Because I was there with your daddy when he sent you on the spaceship, and he said that you gotta, like, he said we gotta kill people. Like, he said this is what we're here for. Like, what are you doing? He just started turning something into the police. What are we doing here? You never asked Carl what your parents were like. You never asked Carl, you never had a conversation about Krypton and what that society was like. That whole plot point does not make sense when you give Superman an actual link to Krypton.
Yeah.
What? So he just turns himself in?
He's like,
It would be different thing if they introduced Kara afterwards, but the fact that he already knows Kara, already has a relationship with her, and like knows what she's like, is what it makes it doesn't work. It makes it like almost incoherent.
That'd been one thing if he shows up and he's like, oh, who are you? But like, this movie established they already have a very well established relationship.
Right.
So.
Like he knows exactly what kind of person she is. Like he knows what she's like her personality wise, and like what she does in her free time. So what was the point of introducing that aspect? I really don't get it. Like it just feels so shallow almost.
Yeah, it's incredibly shallow. It's incredibly ridiculous. I genuinely. But this is the Batman, right? This is like Spider-Man 1. They compared this to my Dead Raimi. Stop it! Enough! We have too many questions about this movie. And I'll ask them a question. They'll be like, oh, you're just being disingenuous. I'm like, dude, we watched the movie. I paid $62 to take me and my wife to see it. Alright? I didn't go into that movie trying to hate the movie. That $62 I could have used.
How much do tickets cost? Where you going?
In America?
No, hold on, $60? It's crazy.
IMAX crazy expensive here.
Incredibly expensive. You're not just gonna go see IMAX with people. You gotta step out if you want to see IMAX. You know.
AMC A-list is $23 a month, and you get free IMAX. See,
that's what they say. We had to go to Reading, right, to catch that 1 a.m. show. The A-list was not saving my tail. I'm sorry.
I just wouldn't go see a movie.
I really wouldn't either.
No, we had to see it. It was the discourse was still loud. People were calling it the greatest comic movie of all time. I was like, dude, I gotta see this now. I love Superman. I had to get my action figures. I had to get my fit together. I was like, I gotta go see Superman. Then I saw the movie. I was like, dude, how is the engineer already at the voice of songs and me only 5 minutes in?
Oh my god, I completely forgot about the engineer. She's such a nothing type. She doesn't do anything. Same with Metamorpho. Neither of them do anything in the film.
Oh, okay. Can I talk about the flaw in Lex's plan there? Okay. So you're blackmailing this guy who seems to be a person with a good heart, making him do this bad thing by saying, "Look, we're gonna kill your son if you don't do it right." And so they put him in the cell, and his only task is to harm the one guy that could break out and save his son within like 5 seconds. And then not only that, okay, so Lex shouldn't have been surprised when this guy realizes, hey, this guy could actually save my son if I stop trying to kill him.
Right.
And then also, he stops putting the kryptonite on him. And the guy holding the gun to his baby's head just like sits there and watches. Like he doesn't like try and intervene at all.
That scene is so confusing. It goes on. It's both way too short, but it also still goes on way too long. So it's like I don't know what that whole aspect of the pocket dimension is so bizarre to me. It's just none of it works to me.
I don't get because once he stopped doing the kryptonite, they should have been on top of the other things, because that guy has a gun to his baby's head, but that guy just sits there and doesn't do anything about anything.
Man, let me say something about Metamorpho. That man is a hypocrite. Because you're okay with poisoning and killing Superman, But a man gets shot in front of you, and you're like, dang, I could have did something. I should have stepped in. Why didn't I do anything? Dude, you will do it right now.
If that guy got shot in front of Superman in a Snyder movie, everybody would have been like, Reeve Superman or Gun Superman. They would have saved him.
With the kryptonite.
Like, I'm not like the biggest defender of the bomb scene, but I see so many people be like, Gun Superman would have saved everybody in there. I'm like, but how?
Right.
I think there's a lot of stuff in this movie that if Snyder pulled that would have got rightly criticized. Like, I think
Sure.
the L stuff would have been like trashed if Snyder tried that.
For sure. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine Snyder doing the L thing, but like, I can also see it being like a good. Like, I can see maybe what Gunn was going for to be like, you know, you get to choose your own path. That like Superman is a good person. Intrinsically, and not just like because his parents told him that that's what he has to do. Like, he was sent to Earth and this is what he has to do. Like, he is a good person in himself, and like that's the point. That is, I think, the best part of it. But it's like not stated in the film. Like, he makes the choice of being like, I get to decide who I am, but we don't really see any of the lead up to that besides like the one scene with Jonathan Kent, which is a really well written scene, and that would have hit so much deeper if it like had momentum to it.
Yeah, because also when Superman's on the phone with his mom in the beginning, he doesn't talk to John at all. Like, that whole scene where Superman and John, where they inspire each other or whatever, that's the first time we see those two characters talk in the entire movie.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah. Which, in fairness, the Dawn of Superman kind of does the same thing. The first scene where we see Clark and John talk is the scene where John dies.
Yeah.
But,
But one thing I always say about my GOAT is the dialogue was on 10, man. And let me tell you this.
Okay.
I think that Jonathan Kent dying is something that's so integral, or the Kent's dying in general is so integral to him also being Superman. And I find it funny that, like, when they are just alive, they really don't have anything to really offer him, right? Like, in this movie, Jonathan just tells them some well-doy dialogue. And I'm like, this is the scene that made y'all cry? He doesn't tell Clark much of anything. He says, your choices are make you who you are, do the right thing, don't let other people tell you who to be. What? I had to hear this. This is like Spider-Man here with great confidence, great responsibility, like 3 years in his career. What do you mean? What are you doing for Brian? What the fake? Don't make me mad. Don't make me mad. Don't get me crunk, man. I don't mind the kids being alive, but I also feel like if you're going to have them alive, have them have some genuine like relevance to Superman's life and his character at this moment.
Right.
And they don't really have any relevance in this film other than, I guess, picking Superman up when he's at his lowest point. When in reality, man, it should be him talk. This should be a conversation he has with Lois. You know what I'm saying? He shouldn't need this conversation with Jonathan Kent, especially when Jonathan Kent doesn't tell him much of anything. To be like, yeah, you're right. I should go back out there and be Superman.
Right.
What?
You're coming.
Oh my God.
That absolutely should have been the conversation with Lois. That's like the perfect conclusion to every single scene they have. And then the ending that they have. Like, it's like right there. It makes sense for Lois to have that conversation with him.
Right.
Especially after what she sees, she brings him back. And there's that scene where she looks around the house and she sees...
Funny to me. Like, she brings him back to the Kent farm, and then, like, not even 10 minutes later, she just dips. Like, that's, like, she literally just drops him and leaves.
And like, there's a really poignant scene there where it's just her looking at his childhood and smiling about that. And I really like that scene. And I really thought that it was going to lead to like a conversation between them. Right. No, that's not happening. No conversation between them. No, none of that. And it just immediately cuts to her being back in Metropolis, and it's so weird because it's like that's the lowest conversation for them to have. Right. You look at, for example, Superman and Lois does this really well, where both the Kents are gone, and Lois remains his consistent anchor. So the person that he has always behind his back to deal with all of this, especially how mature he is in Superman Lois, it's Lois. They both have each other in that, like, it was right there. And I don't understand why it wasn't a conversation that he had with Lois.
Right, and it kills me because, like, the chemistry between Brosnan and Cornswell is, like, electric. Like, I felt like flying every time they in the two scenes that they kissed, especially the last one. Like, it's just, they're so good together, but then they don't do anything besides, like, have a conversation.
Yep. Like, it's just a shame, because it's like, well, you see these two who are really electric together, who have crazy chemistry together. Nothing happens. Literally nothing of proper weight happens that makes it feel like, oh, these characters earned this fly up in the mall, and this beautiful kiss. They earned that. It doesn't really feel like they earned it. What did they do to earn it? Stay in a spaceship and get his ass beat by Ultraman? Like, what's the crux of it? Like, the crux of Clois is missing. They're good individually, and I like Clark individually in this movie. I like Lois individually. She does a lot in this. She's always there with Terrific, dealing with stuff. I like that, but there's no and in there. It doesn't feel like they're like properly named into each other's arcs and stuff like that.
I really like the conflict of, like, this is why, like, relationships don't work out for me. Like, that's a really good, like, starting point, especially, like, this early on into their relationship. But they don't do any, like, there's no, like, through line to that conflict. It's just like, okay, they have an argument in her apartment, then they talk in his apartment, then she rescues him from the prison, drops him off at the Kent house, disappears, and then that's the last time they see each other until the end where they kiss again. Like, there's no... It feels like she watched the film instead of being actually in the film. Because it blows my mind how that character was, especially because of how, like, I adore both of them in the role, especially Cornswell. He really is, like, my ideal Superman, essentially. Like, he has the look nailed, he has all the mannerisms nailed. He is Superman through and through, both on screen and off screen. So it's like, I don't know where they're going.
How Holt and Cornsweet are together, and they're like, okay, this is pretty well done. And then you look at, the scene with Brosnan, and it's just like, but where is the, because the first two scenes, they really set up each of the characters really well. Lois is always someone who's very, like, she's straight to the point. That's one of her key traits, that she struggles a lot with those middle points, especially like these dealing with all of the emotionality that comes with this, dealing with all this. So it sets their differences in characters and tendencies up pretty well. But then after that, it's, it doesn't really feel like it goes anywhere. It just kind of leaves that at one point, and I'm liking this movie less.
And I was going to point out, for the guy who really loved it, he definitely has a lot of negative things to say.
Yes.
I mean,
I thought he was going to bounce it out, man.
I mean, there's only so many things you can...
I'm done.
There's only so many things you can, like, compliment it on, because, like, everything that it does so well, it does it so on a very surface level way, basically. Like,
100%.
I can't praise the thing that it does well, because I don't know if those things were intentional.
There's and that's why I'm saying, like, I'm very excited to see this Superman discourse 5 months from now. After the hype died down, after people are like just sad a little bit more, because I'm like, this Superman movie has more in common with recent comic movies than you may be comfortable with.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry to say this. There's no reason why a Thunderbolts movie should be better than Superman. There's no reason, right? I don't like them.
Like the over-designed lines. Why was it all of a sudden not a problem? Like, everybody make fun of that.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Dude, I'm like, look, it's Superman. Why does he have padding? Why does he have shoulder pads?
He has pads on his knees.
His arms look so ugly.
What are we doing?
From afar, the suit looks so good, but all those close-ups, I'm like, they were so close. They were so close.
Just get rid of the words. You're chilling.
I can't believe they actually considered a version of the suit without the trunks. Like, this suit genuinely would be awful without the trunks.
It would have been so ugly if they did that.
Like,
because the
from
trunks are
afar,
really
it looks like the perfect Superman suit. Like, the trunks stand out so well. So I have no idea what they were thinking for even a second of how it looked without it. Because it looks so great with it. So, like, James, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I don't get it. It's not even like we haven't seen a Superman suit work without lines. Look, I get it. Maybe not everybody watched the CW show, but we just got the Kingdom Come suit, bro. We seen that Superman work on screen. And it's
so good.
It's such a freaking amazing suit. Fantastic.
I can't believe it came from CW.
I cannot believe it. I cannot believe y'all let them cook you like that. All right, that's ridiculous. Okay, now, and I just, like, people were coping before the movie dropped. Who's gonna get a new suit before the film ends, and so is Guy Gardner and all. No, that's just their costume. That's how they're gonna look at the DCU. That's how that works. They have the same costumes in Peacemaker, bro. Well, what are you talking about? They're Maxwell Lord goons. that's so.
There was a popular theory that came out, like, when they first revealed the costume and, like, the logo, and people were like, oh, it looks like the Kingdom Come logo. People were like, oh, so this Superman is gonna be like taking back to, like, the roots of, like, this is a character that has to teach other heroes what it means to be a hero, and, like, why they became heroes in the first place. Like, reminding them what it means to do good and to help others. And they didn't really do that. Like, most of it is just implied.
Conversation with the heroes, you know.
Right.
They did that. They showed the impact of that, but you never actually see them talk. You never see him telling Guy, you know, bro, maybe you could save people.
Yeah.
You know, you never see that conversation.
The only conversation he has with Guy is Guy telling him to shut up after they just killed the kaiju, and then them threatening to beat the shit out of each other after the message.
But they're best friends.
They're best friends, yeah.
They're best friends. Yeah, no, they care about each other. They'll do whatever it takes. I tell you the truth. I just don't. I don't fully get it. I thought Metamorpho was going to be an allegory for just because you look different or are different doesn't mean that we have to discriminate against you. Or I thought he was going to inspire Metamorpho to be better, to not listen to Luthor and Yahoo do woo. But Metamorpho is he just kind of does it on his own. And
I thought that was the route they were going to take when he was in prison with Superman. I was like, oh, okay, so Superman's going to, like, inspire Metamorpho to help out. But then they don't do that. Like, Metamorpho is just in the prison, and he suddenly makes the decision after watching a guy get shot.
He starts crying and he hugs someone.
Like, he had that whole scene where he, like, shouted at Superman to, like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, whatever. And then the next scene is, like, the guy gets shot, and then he immediately switches his position.
Well, I guess I gotta be a hero now. I guess I gotta be a good guy. It's so
implies that he thought, like, Lex was of good moral character, And then when Lex shoots the guy, he's like, wait, this guy might be bad news.
He's literally holding your baby hostage. Like, that's the biggest definition of telling and not showing in the movie, man. Like, Metamorpho is supposed to have this, it's supposed to be this, like, amazing character, and he has, like 5 lines of dialogue, and all 5 are, like, nonsense. It's nonsense. He's doing nonsense. You can have the whole movie without any of it. The only reason he's in it is to explain kryptonite, in which kryptonite doesn't exist in the DCU, I guess. It's all gone. What are we doing?
Like, they don't explain it, but like my takeaway was that like Lex probably did something with it, and he ended up using all of it in a fight against.
Batman has it.
Yeah. But like it's all implied. I don't know if that's
as soon as he finds out his mom's name is Martha, he's gonna go find him.
Like they could have easily just had a line or like a data graph somewhere in the back showing that I fought with him once. One of the first times that Lex ever fought with Superman, there was kryptonite involved, and now there's no more kryptonite. Fine, but nope, there's just no kryptonite, guys. It's just not there.
And you're telling me this is 3 years into Superman being a thing?
Yeah.
Like this feels like at least 5, 6, 7 years. Like 3 years feels almost too soon, but almost too late at the same time. Like I don't know how James did that. It's like he overcomplicated things for himself in a way that like blows my mind.
I think it would have worked a little bit better because it's clear Lex hates him. He's been hating him for 3 years. Fine, I get that. But then when it's Clark's surprise that it's Lex behind this, I think that's what throws me off a little bit. And I wish that Clark wasn't surprised. I wish that Clark went, "Oh my God, it's you. Of course, it had to be you," or something like that, to really drive home that okay, this has been ongoing for 3 years. This guy has probably already used the kryptonite, but he's been doing it in secret, and it's only something Superman knows. Yeah. It's not gone out to the general public yet. Their relationship hasn't gone public yet. You know, like it's something that both of them know. That man, I hate this guy, and Superman knows, God, this guy hates me. You know, like it's something like it would have worked a little bit better in my mind if that's established. But no, it's not established. Instead, it's established that Superman had no idea that Luthor was behind this. Superman's actually shocked. Luthor, you're behind this? What? I thought you were a chill billionaire. What? Why do you hate me?
It pisses me off because like one of the things that so many people were saying that this film is like so sincere, which doesn't mean anything for comic book movies now. That's just a buzzword at this point.
What was the word you said?
Sincere.
Oh, sincere. Okay.
Right, and there's so many people being like, this is just like the Raimi movies, of like it's so compassionate and enduring, and it's like Superman saves a squirrel. That's it. He saves a squirrel, and like that's it. I don't see what was so sincere about the film. Like it has a very
it's just
so
all
surface
the
level.
checking box.
Right.
Because all of Twitter is going to be like, wow, he saved a squirrel, James Gunn gets Superman, and they're all going to praise that squirrel saving scene. And then Gunn's going to open Twitter, he's going to be like, I did it.
See, it's so surface level. I can't even praise like
exactly.
the things that
I don't dislike that Superman, and I criticize it. All the fans are just like, if you don't think he would save a squirrel, you don't get Superman. I'm like, I don't care if they save the squirrel. It was just like so on the nose and so forced in there to like
as well.
perform.
I like that, but then he doesn't save Ultraman. So where does it end? You know, what's
like why did he pick like like you would think that the guy that looks exactly like him would be like the one person he determined to save the most.
Like the mindless goon.
It literally writes itself of like this is someone that like is an exact mirror of him, but it's been controlled by the person he doesn't want to be controlled by. So he had the chance to save him and do something about it, and he just doesn't.
Part of the thesis is you don't have to be who they made you to be. He was sent to Krypton to rule, and he doesn't. Ultraman was made to serve Luthor, and Superman's just like, oh, well, that's a terrible fate. I guess that just means you can die.
Guys, it's okay. It'll be explained when Ultraman comes back as Bizarro in Superman 2.
Dude, that's like the most obvious setup. That's like phase 2 of MCU. That's like when in the Iron Man 2 post-credit scene when Coulson pulls up and he sees Mjolnir. That's like that level of obviousness to set that up.
I miss Coulson.
This is a random aside. Did anybody else think Corn Sweat with that hair?
Yeah. He looked like Henry Cavill in The Witcher.
Henry Cavill. He looked like Henry Cavill a lot.
When he took off the mask, my brain at first was like, what the fuck? It's Robert Pattinson. I'm like, holy shit, what does this mean? And then they were like, it's you. I'm like, oh, that's just Corn Sweat. Okay.
For me, like, my brain went Henry Cavill, and then it was made even funnier when, like, goes that he's stronger than you, but he's probably even dumber. I just thought that's pretty funny. Like, calling Henry Cavill that is hell yeah. But yeah, he just had long hair, and then they killed him with a bus. That's it.
This film kind of makes me think of, like, if this script was given to Henry Cavill, if this whole movie was exactly the same, but it was Henry Cavill instead of Corn Sweat, how would it have gone? How would he have fared in place of Corn Sweat? Cause like
he'd be doing this the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
No, yeah. But I mean, like, the most I love of Cavill's performance as Superman is the Black Adam post-credit scene, where he doesn't say anything.
He looks so good in that post-credit.
He does. He looks so good.
That's look. That's look at Superman. With Black Adam, we need to talk. No, y'all not finna talk.
Okay, what is funny is internationally, so not domestically is America and Canada, so not quite domestic for you guys, but you know. Internationally, Black Adam is gonna make more than this movie, most likely.
That's funny. That's so good. That's the cherry on top.
Yeah, the DC universe really did change.
The Rock knew what the people wanted.
Rock knew what the people wanted. And, okay, I'll say this for Black Adam. I thought the Justice Society people were pretty cool. I really, really liked Pierce Brosnan as Fate.
Black Adam. I'm gonna be upfront. I think Black Adam's a lot of fun.
Black Adam's so fun.
Yeah. I thought Pierce Brosnan was a hot as, you know, yes, and
wait, I haven't met him, but my RA said that Pierce Brosnan's son goes to our school, and it's like all he talks about. He's just like, if you're like, oh, who are you? He's like, yeah, I'm James. My dad's Pierce Brosnan.
His name's James?
I don't know what his name is. I haven't met him.
Can you imagine the timeline if it was Black Adam in this movie, or if it was like we actually got the Henry Cavill Black Adam movie, or like some reason Robert Pattinson getting dissolved into the DCEU, and you're stuck with that for the next decade.
I'm disappointed we didn't get that Christopher McQuarrie Superman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He would have directed the hell out of the script way better than James ever could have.
And I think, again, in terms of overcorrection, this movie is so focused on being grounded, they forget to give Superman any spectacle. Like, the 1978 movie was like cinema spectacle at its core. Like, that movie was revolutionary in terms of spectacle.
Right.
Man of Steel, you know, you watch that first fight, you're like, wow. Even Superman Returns, when I watched him lift up the Krypton Island, I was still kind of like, wow, that's a real feat right there.
Right.
And this movie just didn't have like a, wow, like he's really doing something otherworldly moment.
I like the black hole scene, but like it kind of loses, like it's a cool frame, but then he's holding Baby Joey like a burrito, and it's like, yeah, right, it's a part of that. But I did like that. as like a feat of spectacle. But like beyond that, yeah, you're right. Like I'm supposed to like this movie. Hang on.
I'm definitely bringing that 3 stars down a little bit after this.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna have to bump it down a little bit.
That because Christopher McQuarrie talked about his take on this movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
Agreed with every word he said. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, no, I, in terms of like filmmakers that like could have done, there's so many that I don't understand why Gunn felt the need to like do it himself. Like he could have written it and like gotten someone else, but like the need he has to do it, I don't think he was the right choice. I think he got his own ego right in the way of that, and you can almost tell in the film.
We got a call in from Mr. Christopher McQuarrie.
What was your Superman pitch? You pitched another story after Man deal.
I'll never tell, but boy, it was good. It was good. The first 5 minutes of the movie was a setup after which you knew exactly what made Superman tick and exactly what Superman wore.
Because I truly agree with like every word he said.
Yeah, same. God, I would do anything for that movie.
Especially it's with a new score. This movie did not need to be tied down by.
Oh god, this score pissed me off. Like, not a single bit of it actually worked for me, I think. Because it just, every time there was a really good moment, they just blasted it with the Williams remix.
Yeah, it feels like if you looked up Superman theme epic version on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's the clip.
It's bland, and it's just like, okay, I wrote this review for when I watched Superman Returns last year. I think it was last year. Let me see if I can find it. But I basically said something about Superman being like not a thing where he's supposed to be stuck in the past, and that's all this movie is. Wait, find it.
I think my favorite part, like about the score, is that one time on Twitter where there was the tracks were released, and you had all these people freaking out that track 7, guys, it's the Batman track, guys. And then in the actual movie, it's the funniest shit because it's Netanyahu meeting with Lex Luthor. It's the funniest thing because I also listened to the track. I was like, oh, that does sound familiar, but I don't think it's the Batman track. So I was waiting for that track to appear in the movie. I was sitting like with my cousins in the theater, and it starts playing as this caricature, pulls up in the portal next to Lex Luthor. I absolutely lost my mind. My cousins were looking at me like, what are you laughing about? And I'm just there like, bro, I'm too chronically online for this shit because this is so funny. It was actually so funny that it was that scene in particular that people thought was Robert Pattinson.
In a second, I have a moment that made me laugh, but I actually have to clip this time. It's 10 seconds long.
I don't think you need to live in the shadow of Donner's Superman. I don't think you need to live in the shadow of John Williams' score.
Oh yeah. Okay. The moment that made me laugh is when he's watching all the home videos at the end of the movie, and they all have like multi-cam setups with like a wide shot, a close-up, reverse shot. With his parents are like getting multiple angles of all these family events.
Alright, I found the review.
Season 1.
Maybe Jonathan, liked filmmaking. I don't know.
Professional filmmaker. He has all the crew. He has all the gear. So for Superman Returns, the review that I wrote was Superman is all about moving on, about carving out your own path while honouring the legacy of those who came before you. This movie, Superman Returns, seems to miss that entirely in the favour of nostalgia. I wrote that over a year ago about Superman Returns, and I think that served pretty much as like the perfect thesis basically for what this movie suffers from the most as well. It's like it's trying so hard to find a balance between like pleasing general audiences who don't really fuck with Superman anymore, and people who are like tired of Superman and like just want to be reminded of like the Donner movies, I guess. and people who like love the comics, and like it tries so hard to please all three that like I think it just fumbles everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I like the score, but also at the same time, like it really does make you wonder what would it have sounded like if it was something of its own, you know? Because John Murphy's great at this stuff. I love his work, especially in 28 Days Later. I think it's fantastic, right? And it, like, as good as, like, I find some of the bits, and while they do definitely sound, you know, the occasional, like, Superman epic theme, epic trailer music theme, like, I definitely do get that feel, especially, like, toward the end where it's, like, playing grand, every single horn line, that feel's definitely there. But it really does make you wonder, it really does make you sit and wonder, like, what would this sound like if it wasn't just reliant on the Williams theme. And there's some nice bits in the score, actually, like, for example, Lois and Clark's theme, that I really like. It's something originally, like, completely off this own movie. Lex has a decent theme as well. Like, there's elements of that. And it just makes me wish that they were more cohesive and connecting back to the Superman theme as well.
Right.
So that if it'd be like all three, you know, elements that really complement each other. So yeah.
Also, I just realized a big thing is like, Superman getting beat up and trashed in this movie. But the movie starts with like 3 minutes ago Superman lost his first fight. So are you just saying that like the entire 3 years before this he was just like completely unstoppable, and just now he's finally facing someone that like that's, I think it just kind of robs him of a bit of agency, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And then he seems relatively unfazed for losing his first fight too.
Yeah.
Like he knows like the whole drill. He's like, okay, well I gotta go home. I gotta get this yellow stuff. That's up. Maybe this is too overthinking. This is probably overthinking. But like, if he's never like lost a fight before, how do he know that how would he know Yellow Sun is what really derives powers from?
Yeah. I think again it just comes down to implications, because
another thing is also like you have to assume things based on previous known knowledge about Superman, but like we don't know how much of this specific adaptation takes from that, so we just have to assume loads of things.
Like my assumption for this is that, okay, so we know Kryptonite not there anymore, but we know they know about Kryptonite. We know Lex knows about Kryptonite, so I assume that while this may be the first physical fight that he's ever lost, Lex probably did something with Kryptonite that got his ass, and then he had to go to the Yellow Sun to heal. Fine, you could assume that headcanon, but that, in the end of the day, that's what it is, headcanon. Right. Like I'm not necessarily stating that it should have been like fully exposition. Like Lex should have said, "Oh yeah, I remember that time where I nearly killed him with Kryptonite, but it didn't really work. What a time!" Not necessarily that, but just something to establish that these two have had something before. That this isn't just a plain fight that Superman lost for the first time, but it's more the first thing where he was physically outmatched. Rather than something else, right? Right. So,
and there's ways for you to convey that. That's so easy through body language, through lighting, through whatever it is. Like this is then just not taking advantage of the fact that this is from the medium of comic books that are as insane and campy as they are, and the filmmaking medium itself. And it's like. Yeah. I don't get what the obsession is with like grounding these characters, because like if you're gonna do that, what's the point? I've never understood that.
No.
And like even in like the Batman, there's this one look at the beginning of the movie that I've seen loads of people talk about, where he gives a look to the little kid who just lost his dad, and like in that one moment, that like 10-second scene, you kind of like. You just know, the audience obviously already knows that, like, oh, he lost his parents. But, like, that one look tells you everything you need to know about where this version of the character is at, like, mentally and emotionally.
Yeah.
And, like, we don't get anything even remotely like that in this Superman movie.
Yeah.
I like Mr. Terrific a lot. I thought it was
Terrific was very cool.
It's pretty
I
terrific.
thought Terrific, in terms of characterization, Terrific, Jimmy, and Luther, no notes.
Yeah.
I loved them.
I agree with Luther and Terrific. Jimmy, I think I wasn't so like a huge fan of like him and Eve and the whole thing. Like it came across a little bit like misogynistic almost, like the way that they were treating Eve.
Okay, that is totally fair. I just thought, I guess more performance, not characterization. Performances, I thought Jimmy was hilarious. I always liked seeing him.
Yeah, for sure.
My favorite moment is when Eve just casually says, "Lex killed a dog," and then Jimmy just goes, "Jesus Christ!" I love this Team Righteous Gems. That guy is hilarious in that show.
He's really good. I think for me, I do like that Jimmy rumor of him having his own show. I think that would actually be really good. And honestly, I think a show like that to flesh out the Daily Planet cast is really needed because they get really nothing here. Like, no one really gets a chance to really do their own thing. They're all just there to show you that, hey, it's that character. You know the character. It's them. And I just, yeah. If that Jimmy show ever happens, I hope that's how they introduce Darkseid. I hope that's how we first meet Darkseid in the DCU. It just has to be, it'd be perfect. Just regular.
If they had any balls. If James Gunn is the goal, he'll do that. Facts. If James Gunn is the goal, he'll do that. Period. It's the only way.
It's the only way. You can't have Jimmy Olsen as a full character and then not do this to introduce Darkseid. Come on now.
Although, one thing I didn't like about Jimmy Olsen in this movie is that man did not take not one picture. I don't even think I've seen him with a camera.
Wait. I guess my fandom is my lack of fandom is showing here a little bit. What's the correlation of Jimmy and Darkseid?
Nothing.
Is that not when he was first introduced? Darkseid was first introduced in the adventures of Jimmy Olsen.
Dude, he just shows up. And that's like one of the most important DC Comics issues ever.
Yeah.
And it's literally like Thanos showing up in a like Pepper Potts. Like Pepper Potts just goes on a little adventure, and the first time you ever see Thanos is when she's like getting coffee. Like that's how ridiculous it is. So if they had any sauce, any balls, that's where Darkseid would show up.
Right.
Got it.
I don't know, I think overall, Gunn kind of jumped the gun a little bit. Like he got over it, got in his own head, I think, with this film. Which I think is in a similar sense to how I see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, because that is in terms of directing, he's leveled up so much. Like, it's such a better film in its physical sense, but narratively I think he kind of put too much pressure on himself to make a good sequel, that it kind of I think almost loses itself. And like, I think where he's really found his footing as a filmmaker is with Suicide Squad, even though I don't love that movie. And then Guardian 3, I think, is when it's just him at his best. He finds the perfect balance. But I think with Superman is like, he kind of got caught up in his own sense of self, I think, basically the same way he did with Guardian 2 to me. Like, he put too much pressure on himself that he kind of forgot the like core fundamentals of nailing that down. And that's like why the first Guardian in a movie is like one of my favorite movies ever, because of how simple it is and how it just stays true to like the core, like of what it from like the opening scene of the movie, and it just stays true to that.
I think Gunn is better when he's restrained.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Because Suicide Squad, I think it's too much for me. I think it's a little too gratuitous. A little bit
I think
too much.
Peacemaker is Gunn is most Unchained, and I cannot stand that show.
Yeah.
But I think the Guardians movies are pretty great.
Yeah.
Exactly why I'm pretty excited for Supergirl, because he's just not in that.
That's my thing. The director of Supergirl is like the director of Cruella or something, and like that's not a good movie. And it's also like
it's alright.
Well, I think this James Gunn likes the script enough, so we're gonna see how people respond to it.
The same director is like the director of Pam and Tommy, like that shitty Pamela Anderson adaptation. And it's like I don't know if this guy should be trusted with like a movie that should be directed by a woman. That's just me. I feel like
well, to be fair, he did do I, Tonya as well, but I think if this movie isn't directed by a woman, it should be directed with somebody with the sauce, because Woman of Tomorrow is like Lord of the Rings meets Star Wars. Like it would be a perfect fit for George Miller.
Yeah.
But if it's not directed by a woman, I think it's just like this guy who's never experimented with any genre besides realistic fiction.
Right.
Try someone else.
I'm actually like really excited just from the small scene we had with Supergirl. I really liked the characterization that they gave her. And Millie Alcock is like really good in that 1-2 minute long scene. So
yeah, I agree with that.
I just need this to be like really good. Like that one's like a need even more than like this one was, because like Superman, whether or not people were gonna show up to some extent, and
have you seen those international numbers? Okay, for reference, how best movies internationally? Earlier this year, Marvel released a critically panned Captain America movie starring a black man, and that made double what Superman made this weekend in China. In China, where they had to cover up Black Panther's face on the Black Panther poster so people would see the movie.
Yeah, but like Red Hulk,
Yeah. Oh, of course.
No, I mean, I think for what it's worth, the movie did its job. It revitalized the interest in Superman, and it does treat most of the characters in the series with respect. Most of it. And also, like, I just really admire the respect that he gives to the character. Like the whole punk rock, maybe that's the real punk rock, is such a great modernization of the character. I think that's like the best thing that he could have done. And like the song that he picks, the Teddy Bear's punk rocker, I think it's a perfect note to end the film on. Like the perfect way to like tie everything together. The only thing is that like everything before it is just not well tied together, so it just feels a little loose.
Yeah. Do you guys think Lanterns is gonna be any good?
Wait, hold on. How old is Hal Jordan again? Like 50 years old, man. Man, stop!
Why are we on Superman year 3 before the Justice League is even formed?
And Batman's doing with like his fifth Robin.
Yeah,
Batman's on his fifth Robin.
Yeah, with a 13-year-old son. Like, he's Unk.
He's Unk.
And I don't want to see
Hal Jordan is old as hell. Like, why is all this? Like, I was on board with this idea of being like the Silver Age end all be all for DC in live action. But then there's just so many questionable choices. Why are we getting a Clayface movie before a Batman? Why are we getting Clayface before we even meet Batman? Like, what?
And apparently, Clayface was, when it was written by Flanagan, it was written in the context of the Batman universe. And then it changed to the DCU.
It really does sound like a movie that perfectly fits within that, within the same.
It sounds like a movie that perfectly fits in the Sony Spider-Man universe of Spider-Man cinematic characters or whatever it is.
But like Hal Jordan is the most dead character I've ever. Like, he's dead in this show. He guaranteed.
Hal Jordan, you can't do it. I don't believe it.
The only time we've seen Hal Jordan is the Ryan Reynolds movie. Like, bro, what are we doing?
He wasn't even in the most famous Justice League show.
He wasn't even in. There were 2 cuts of Justice League, and he wasn't even in the deleted scene. It was Jon Stewart. Like, we don't know Hal Jordan.
We don't know him, and then we're gonna get introduced to him, and they're gonna kill him off, and then we'll just have John and fucking Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner. That's it. Our Green Lanterns, everyone.
And I think the show will be good because there's some great talent.
That reveal pic they released for the Lanterns, it kind of pissed me off. Because they're just walking along the road. They like describe it as like intergalactic space cop epic, and it's just 2 guys walking along the road, and it's just like, do we not deserve you putting more effort in how you introduce your shows? Or
it looks like
even the same with Superman introduction picture.
Everybody was hyped for that first Superman reveal, and then Gunn just nonchalantly posting that picture of Superman all dirtied up, putting on his boots.
Yeah.
And every other picture after that is so much better as well. Every other after that is 10 times better.
Right.
They've had so many good behind me. That's another thing too. I think James Gunn is a great filmmaker. I think he's a great writer. But for Superman specifically, he just doesn't have the cinematic eye that I feel like Superman deserves. Superman is such a powerful character that y'all dead for real believe Superman can fly in the 70s, right? Y'all believe you believe a human being can fly in the 80s.
That was like whole fully marketed as like an event, or like this is the thing you have to see, or like
you have to see it.
You're not gonna believe it. This is a thing that it's like a once in a lifetime experience, and it's like.
And that literally is still the prettiest Superman movie, in my honest opinion. It's so colorful, it's so bright. The nighttime scenes are gorgeous. The costumes are gorgeous. Everything just pops. And for all of Snyder's faults, I do like the visual swing that he took with Superman, and I really wish that James Gunn, because the images that they took afterwards could have serviced the first costume look perfectly, and a controversy would have not been as big, right? But clearly, he does not have the eye for it. I mean, we don't really see Guardians of the Galaxy get marketed like that. We didn't see Suicide Squad get marketed like that. So I'm not surprised that Superman wasn't like dropped in as this like big cinematic event. Yeah. But I really wish it was, because that's what it deserves. Superman is a character that you have to see in movie theaters. Yeah. You should be like, dang man, I gotta see Superman. I gotta see what he does. I gotta see how he makes others. I gotta see how he flies around on screen. You know?
Even when Superman Returns, it's like when those opening credits start and it says Superman Returns, I was like, oh, I'm watching it then, Superman.
Even the marketing for Superman Returns is so much better. Like, they had tie-in games. I remember they had posters on elevator doors that like opened up and it like revealed the logo as like he opened his shirt. Like they had like actual thought put into marketing, and for this it just felt like they were just doing like TikTok interviews.
I was like, I'm watching Superman Return, and I'm hyped.
Right.
In this movie, I just didn't have that event feel to it.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why you want to see is because it's not because it looks like an event. It's Superman, so it has to be an event. It's not like
marketed as one.
It's not like the Batman. You had to see the Batman. There's no way. If you told me you wasn't gonna go see the Batman, I'd probably punch you in your mouth. Cause what do you mean? What do you mean you're not going to see the Batman? You ain't see that first trailer they dropped. You ain't see the Iron Vengeance, and you ain't going to see that movie. You suck. You suck.
Yeah. I don't know what like drugs they took for the marketing campaign for that movie, but like every second of it is like so. They just like popped off. Like I don't like it. It blows my mind still. But like it blew my mind so much that I'm excited for the marketing of the movie that I haven't started shooting yet. The second movie. Yeah. I'm excited just for the marketing alone.
The way they built the script, picture alone,
yes. Got crazy. Now look, it's time for the big question. Y'all know what question coming now. The Batman and the DCU. What we thinking? After seeing Superman, what y'all want? What are y'all thinking? What do y'all need? What are y'all desperate for? What do you think? What's the take now?
If this was a good movie, I would be like undoubtedly yes. But like, because I didn't love this movie, I can't say. Because it's just like the level of precision and the level of care that's put into the Batman. Like I'm raving about that movie like every day, literally every day. To like everyone I know, I'm talking about that movie. And like, I just don't see myself doing that with Superman on any level. Yeah. Like this feels like a movie I'm gonna forget about in like 2 weeks time, and I'm just gonna forget about all the plot details.
Yeah, there's Fantastic Four coming out.
Yeah, when Fantastic Four comes out, and then we're talking about that movie, and I'm not gonna be talking about Superman anymore. Whereas the Batman came out 3 years ago, and I'm remembering like stuff that happened in like 2 hours into the movie that like still shakes me to my core.
Like, especially with like marketing, like we were just talking about, bro. I remember where I was when those Batman trailers dropped. Like, I remember I saw those.
Yeah.
I could not tell you when the Superman trailer dropped.
Yo, you're thinking, because I'm thinking about it right now. When was Superman drop?
When was that? When was the first one? I can tell you exactly when the Batman main trailer dropped.
I mean, it was the suit teaser. That was like before they even shot anything of the film. And that like completely set up the expectations for what you want from this film. And they completely delivered on it. And it's like, this to have this much detail packed into knowing exactly what you want from this final result, that speaks so much confidence from you as a filmmaker. And to me, James Gunn just doesn't have that. He just I don't think he does. Compared to like Matt Reeves.
James Gunn took Superman blinking out of the trailer because there was fan reaction.
Right.
Because remember, Superman gets the camp thrown at him in the first show, and he blinks, which I don't even think was bad, because to me it didn't look like he was getting hurt. It looked like he was just like if someone flicks you on the head, it doesn't hurt. Yeah, like if someone flicked me on the head, I wouldn't hurt. I would just blink anyways, you know.
Right.
And so
just that one blink, like, right, and it's just that one moment of him like closing his eyes. It humanizes him in the moment of like in his worst moment where everyone thinks he's not human. Just that one tiny action speaks so much for itself.
Take his phone away from him. Someone take that man's phone away from him. I swear to God.
I'm hesitant to believe the like whole he changed the color grading based on like Twitter reactions. I'm hesitant to believe that just because of how much the film contained in the post-production process. But also there are some tiny bits of it where I'm like, okay, maybe he is spending a little too much screen time.
Yeah. There's that, I don't know why they didn't make the cut, so we'll get back to Pattinson after this, but like, there was that one line that Lex has in one of the trailers that I really love, where he's like, who raised you as a child? I'll kill them too.
Right.
Only the first half of that is in the movie. And it's a really weird decision, because I remember it's as he's escaping, it's as Lex is leaving, and he just says, who raised you as a kid? The end. And you just sitting there like, why didn't he finish it? It's such a good and poignant line for Lex to say. And he would say that we just killed a random innocent man because he smiled at Superman once and helped him up. Right. He would say that. Why? No. Why is it not there?
that's what bugs me so much, man. It's like there's so many really good ideas and so many like examples that like show he fundamentally does understand what Superman means. And then it's just like either very surface level or barely explained to the point where like it might as well not be there.
Yeah. Incredible. I mean, there's just too much exposition. I mean, it fully does expect you to have already seen the 1978 movie or have some idea of how Man of Steel would have progressed, I guess. Like, a lot of it is just so... Because I tell you the truth, I don't understand why Lois has to have the line of, oh, I knew this wasn't going to work. I knew we shouldn't be together. And, like, they don't really delve into that more. That's not really a big point of contention. Right. She just says it, and then that's it. The scene's over with.
Like, it would have been a really great point to start from of, like, if their relationship was already rocky when we meet them. Like, but before they had the whole interview, they already had, like, a weird relationship of, like, Lois is really pressing about him being Superman and he wants to help people. If we had that before the movie, and that going into that movie we had the expectation of what the relationship is like and how that sets up what it is for the rest of the movie. But it's just that one throwaway line of like, oh, I knew this wouldn't work, and then that's it. I don't know, man. It's like, I don't...
I want to answer Derrick's question about Pattinson now.
Right.
I don't think they should, but I don't know how they don't. There's no realistic option if they're going forward with this DCU where they can wait till 2028 at least to start doing something with Batman, especially if they're going to do a Clayface movie, especially since the Superman sequel is heavily implied to be world's finest.
Right, because I mean, they're not going to want to release Brave and Bold until after the Batman 2 comes out, which is 2 years from now.
Anybody sane has to admit it would be too confusing to have two live-action Batman franchises running at the same time.
Yeah, and it's not even like talking up to like all audiences are going to get confused. It's just like Pattinson truly is the definitive Batman. Like I don't want to be like the guy that's like, oh, we shouldn't make any more chances. Like this is perfect. We shouldn't have anyone else do it. But like, truly, you're not gonna get better than Matt Reeves and Pattinson. Like,
well, and also it's this.
Yeah, go on.
People are gonna have to pick sides. Like,
right.
It's gonna audit. Like, okay, people can compare Colin Sweat to Cavill or Reeve, but it doesn't matter because those are all over. But if these franchises are running at the same time, people are gonna be like, oh, well, this one's so much better.
Yeah.
People are gonna get aggressive and defensive about it. It's gonna cause even more toxic. It's just bad optics all around to have two running at the same time.
Right.
And you know, I don't know what they can do about it. I don't think he has to.
Yeah,
but I don't know what the word is.
I mean, even if you think of it like a financial point of view, right? The Batman made like a lot of money. It's gonna make more. Superman's not making as much as the Batman did.
Yeah,
okay?
Batman made like 700 million by yen.
Yeah. Superman is gonna cap out around 550 million, which
around there. So
$1 million lower than Man of Steel.
And I'm pretty sure the Batman costs less to do than Superman.
Oh yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure the Batman costs less.
Batman costs around 175 million, I think.
Ooh. It's like
I'm checking now.
15 million.
Yeah, Superman's like 200.
185 to 200 million, and Superman had 250 million.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe that. I just don't believe that Pattinson would fight aliens. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that his type of Batman, because he's obviously a little more fantastical than the Nolan version.
Right. Like
Nolan and Brandon Wolf's Superman would probably drive me insane. Or Nolan and Snyder's Superman would probably go insane. Like I'd probably like lose my mind. Like that doesn't work.
Right.
But Pattinson is like 15 steps more fantastical, but not like completely, you know. He's not like Ben Affleck, where you could believe Ben Affleck would exist in a world with Superman or with Wonder Woman. Like, you could be like, he was just based on the way he dressed.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm like very protective of like Pattinson's version of a character, and I remember like when Clarence Trent was like first, like when they first did the suit reveal, and there were like behind the scenes pictures, and people were like, oh, he would go so well with Pattinson. I was immediately like, I absolutely hate that idea. Like, I don't want that to happen in a million years. And now I'm like seeing both films and both versions of the characters together. It's like, how can we not? Like, it just feels like even trying it one time, it just feels like the biggest missed opportunity ever. It just feels like these two are the perfect versions of the character that we could get.
They're both like year 3 as well. Like,
right. It's like it reminds me of when the Tyler Hoechlin Superman and Lois show was coming out, and people were comparing that to the Batman, saying that they wanted those two at the world's finest. And I was like, that's never gonna work, because that Superman is like 20 years into his career, and this Batman just started. But just like it works so well because these two literally both just started.
Just abandon the Damian Wayne plan. Y'all haven't even started writing yet. Like,
James Gunn is ghostwriting that movie. I'm telling you, no one is running that movie except James Gunn. And then he's gonna come out and be like, yeah, I hired this guy.
I hope Andy doesn't direct it. Give that movie
He comes out and he's like, all of them.
It's like Andy Muschietti, or how do you say his last name? Is that it? Muschietti?
Yeah, probably.
Andy Muschietti. Look, bro. The Flash was an ugly looking movie, man. Like, I liked it, but like, you give somebody too much of a budget, it was crazy. Like, does Batman move cool in those movies? Yeah. Do I need to see the whole movie and do a Batman? I don't need to see that. I'm good. Now, y'all saying Sam Raimi, that'd be cool, but Sam Raimi is too much of a director, I fear.
Yeah.
Too much. I don't believe that.
I think he learned a lot from doing Multiverse of Madness in terms of like superheroes in the modern culture and like how that affects filmmaking wise, and like just how much he puts in and how much he gets out of it. I don't think it affects him as much as like his trilogy did. Well, I doubt he'd ever want to do that.
Yeah. But, like, as for the opportunity itself of having these two versions together, it would be insanely stupid to not have it. Even if, like, me personally, as I've said, also very protective of Reeves and of just Robert Pattinson's Batman as a whole. It's such that entire universe is such an insanely creative endeavor that's so focused on details and being so detail oriented and so like world building oriented. Like, the amount of passion that's within that entire universe is literally unheard of in other cape shit right now. Like, it's something. It's literally just seeing Matt Reeves' passion project that he's been working for ages come to fruition, right? So on one hand, there is that, where especially if you look into the behind the scenes of the movie, you look into Matt Reeves, and you just hear him talk about that franchise. You hear the way he talks about it. You really don't want it to happen. But on the other hand, there's no way it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's the perfect setup of all time for these two characters. Both.
This is realistically the only time in comic book like history will be they're coincidentally lining up that well.
Yeah.
Right.
And it'd be crazy. Like, everybody says like, oh, my headcanon is Keaton and Reeve were in the same universe. And people, because those are just like the two OGs, like those movies were 11 years apart.
Right.
These are like coming out right on time. Plus, the Batman already has a solid foundation. Superman is not making enough money to call it that solid of a foundation. Especially, Supergirl is gonna have to be equally as expensive. Everybody says
My biggest pet peeve is everybody says they just need to keep the budgets low. I'm like, okay, when you're making these movies, you can't just keep the budgets low.
Right.
It's just impossible.
Superman was the most expensive movie ever made.
Yes, I was about to bring that up. Like, the first superhero movie was famous for going over budget.
Yeah. It's like, you can't just say keep the budget low, especially because Woman of Tomorrow is like high sci-fi, high fantasy. And if Superman is going to struggle to cross 600 million, and the demographic especially was a 66 mil for Superman opening weekend, Supergirl's going to struggle to cross 300 million.
Oh yeah.
And you're going to have to jump into Batman as soon as possible. You can't build this universe on Superman, Supergirl, and Clayface. No. For what it's worth, the Snyderverse rushed it, but had the right approach of prioritizing Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman.
Right.
They probably could have done a Batman solo before BVS.
I mean, like, it's cool to me that Gunn seems to be prioritizing, like, creative, like, at the forefront. That's what he's saying. That, like Flanagan came to him with this movie that he wanted to make. He pitched it and he wrote it and he did it, like, really well, and he's just like, sure, go ahead, make the movie. That's cool. But, like, why are we getting that before something like Wonder Woman, who hasn't had a good perception of, who hasn't had, like, I'm more than here for, like, having complete creative control over an IP. But it's like, if there's no management, then there's no point to it.
And everybody's trying to gaslight me. It's like, oh, we never hated the idea of a Venom movie. We just thought they were bad. It's like, no. As soon as the Venom trailer came out, everybody was like, why are we doing this without Spider-Man?
Right.
It's not just the fact that they're bad. It's the fact that it's a funny idea in general. And I feel Clayface, admittedly, will probably be better than Venom.
Right.
But it's still just like, we're gonna do this without even establishing Batman in this universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't get it. It's
We're
like,
not getting any Flash related for like 15 years.
What was that?
We're not, like, God knows we're not getting anything Flash related for like at least 15 years.
He's gonna show me like a TV show or something. He's gonna show like something like.
Gunn should have just bit the bullet and reset the whole franchise. Because, okay, so Peacemaker and Creature Commandos and the Suicide Squad are basically canon. But not the Jason Momoa cameo and not the Ezra Miller cameo. But and also those movies were all pseudo spin-offs of the second DCEU movie, the third DCEU movie that contained Ben Affleck. Like, it just draws this line of like what's canon.
He's like picking and choosing. Cause like this is a thing that I made. It's gonna be canon because I made it.
Yeah. Also like gonna be canon in this.
I don't know if the movie's gonna be canon. I just know that he's bringing him back, the actor as Blue Beetle.
Bringing who?
Blue Beetle.
Yeah. It's just
great because he's a great Beetle, but also like still like.
But like with how much he was promising about Superman, like the stuff about like being a Superman and Lois movie, and then it not being that. Like how can I trust you to deliver on the things that you've said, especially with the fact that like you've announced these like 20 different things, but only 4 of them are like confirmed. 2 of them apparently cancelled. How am I, with this public image that you're building, supposed to trust you?
Yeah, but he really, with lack of a better term, he jumped the gun on that Phase 1 announcement.
Oh yeah.
It's just a bad look now.
Wait, he did what? he did what?
Well, say that again.
Jump the gun.
Say that again.
You go watch that Phase 1 Gods and Monsters video. It's not embarrassing to watch, but it just feels like awkward to watch.
It just feels inauthentic in a way, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's like he's making so many promises, and like at the time, it's so cool to see a creative come out and be like, this is what we want to do, and then like speaking with so much passion for like why they want to do it. And then like 2 years later, we've only gotten one movie that was already announced before that.
Yeah, exactly.
The authority was one of the things announced, and that's like the only reason the engineer is in this damn movie instead of like someone like Metallo.
Yeah.
And I just find that really.
And she doesn't do anything. She doesn't do anything in the movie.
She could very easily be Metallo.
Yeah.
Very easily.
Yeah, I think Superman vs. the Authority basically becomes Superman 2.
Yeah.
That was my next question. Like, what do we think the sequel that Gunn is teased is going to be?
Although he's definitely implying it's going to be World's Finest, and I think that's his solution to we can't really do a Batman solo movie right now.
Yeah.
But then you're running into the exact same problem everybody made fun of the DCU for.
Yeah.
It's really funny when you think about it. It's like all these criticism. It's like you're gonna do a crossover before you do a solo movie. Plus, why is Batman so old and Superman is so young?
Yep.
I feel like I'm Dr. Manhattan on Mars right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, like they literally follow. Like they announced so many movies. None of them have come out, or even know if they ever are coming out. There was one movie that was announced by a really great filmmaker, and then it was apparently not happening. Which reminded me of
oh yeah, that's the Luca Guadagnino.
Sergeant Rock. Yeah, it reminded me of
it's like that whole saga was just embarrassing to watch. It actually reminded me of when James Gunn was like, "Yeah, we've been talking to Ben Affleck, bring him to the office. He wants to direct something." And then they were at the Flash premiere. He's like, "So it sounds like you want to direct him?" It's like, "Oh no, I never do that." It was like, what is happening?
Oh god, I think Gunn kind of like he got ahead of himself in the sense of like he wanted to be this Kevin Feige lead, but not understanding what it took for Kevin Feige to get to that point. Like he wanted to portray himself as this like all-knowing comic guru, but like
you know what it reminds me of?
Go on.
Seth Rogen's character in the studio. He comes in, he's like, I'm gonna do all these creative things. And he's like, oh, I have to make the Kool-Aid movie or I can't do any of it.
Right.
James Gunn is like, I want to make The Authority, I want to make this and this. He's like, oh wait, no, okay, I have to make a Batman movie before I can do any of this cool stuff.
Right.
I can't believe I just implied that Batman's not one of the cool stuff of the DC franchise, but...
No, I mean, I think it's kind of getting to the point where it feels like Gunn is leading more with cynicism than anything. Of like, maybe this is a thing that will happen. We'll announce it, sure. If it happens, it happens. But like, if it happens, we're gonna be like, yeah, this was the plan all along. We meant for it to be like this. This was the creative vision.
Everybody just falls for it, and it annoys me.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're not seeing how it's a little bit of a contradiction to what he said earlier.
Yeah.
It's sad because I wanna see the vision everyone else is seeing. I wanna see the movie everybody else is seeing. I wish I was as hopeful for the future of the DCU as everybody else is right now. But I'm not. I don't believe it.
Like, I walk in, I'm like, I get to see a colorful Superman on the big screen.
Right.
And it's funny, I keep thinking like, wow, I just saw Superman and Lex Luthor interacting like for real. Not with like long Jesse Eisenberg hair. But when I'm in the theater, I'm not feeling that. Like, I'm just like, it's weird. When I think about the potential of the movie, I'm really excited. But when I think about like how I was feeling when I watched it, yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah, no, I don't. It just feels like he's overcomplicating for himself in the same way that he has with Superman. Which is like, superheroes aren't complicated, man. They're superheroes. It's like, they're superheroes. Everything is there for you in the last 80 years of comic books. But I think that's it. I think then we can wrap it up there.
Yeah.
It's over.
We wrap it up and calling James Gunn a hack.
We're calling James Gunn a hack. It's over. Hey,
It's over.
big fan of Superman. We love James Gunn better when he was under Disney.
I mean, one last story.
Go on.
Yes.
So, I think the morals of this whole scenario is so funny, you know, because he only became the CEO of DC and the helm of the reboot for the most hopeful character of all time because he tweeted about how he likes little boys peeing on his head.
No!
He literally hosted pedophile-themed parties that an actual convicted pedophile attended. And that all led to him directing Superman.
Oh my god. I mean, he said in an interview like 2 days ago that was like, this movie, even if I somehow managed to get a job and like none of that had happened and I managed to do my Guardian movies and then I managed to do Superman without the firing, this movie would not have turned out the way it has if I wasn't fired. Like, even if I somehow still managed to make it. And I'm like, okay. So man.
You know what's also crazy? Like, the reason James Gunn got canceled was so funny is he called out a right-wing Republican nonsense, whatever.
Yeah.
The dude clapped back with old tweets.
I'm obviously not a right-winger, but like, the tweets were bad. I don't know how you can just look past them. They're weird, bro. Dude's pushing 60. That means he was in his 30s when he wrote those tweets. Like, bro.
Oh god. Yeah, I don't know, man.
That man was 40 years old, bro. You know what's crazy? They saw those tweets and said, James Gunn, can you direct Super?
James Gunn, do you want to direct Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh, that's so funny. Look, I really hope the sequel is better. People are acting like this is going to set up a Spider-Man 2 level sequel. I don't agree with that because the next movie is either going to be Superman and Supergirl or Superman and Batman. So, we're cooked. We'll probably never get another Superman 2.
I found out that's funny. Full circle. James Gunn went to my school for like a semester. Like when he was a teenager, but then dropped out because apparently he was too fucked up or whatever. So I'm doing what he never did.
You're done dropping out.
Yeah, be the better James Gunn.
No.
Be James Gunn.
When I graduate, I will be like this was that's my Lex Luthor moment. I did this all to stick it to James Gunn.
Hey man, sometimes you gotta do it. Sometimes you gotta be the greatest hater of all time, and it'll bring you fame and fortune. Just trust the process.
Trust the process. I'm sure that's what James Gunn.
You gotta have me on, man. We up. We gotta do this again when Supergirl drops.
Alright, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. So we can complain for like another 3 hours.
They're not gonna get me to talk like this about Fantastic Four on fear.
I don't even know if we're gonna do that for that long.
To get like unironically hyped for Fantastic Four, like because now that I've seen the trailers and like they're going for that gloomy like work tone. I'm starting to like kind of get on the train, but I still think it's gonna be bad just because of like other behind the scenes stuff. But
really? I'll watch that in a little bit more.
I've not paid attention to Fantastic Four since Superman, but like, it just doesn't look good.
My biggest basis for this is when tickets went on sale, the runtime was 2 hours and 10 minutes, and now it's cut down to 1 hour 55, which is the same thing they did for Thor: Love and Thunder, Ant-Man 3, and Justice League 2017. Which just means they're trying to squeeze an extra showtime every day for opening weekend because I think it's going to collapse second.
This is a good time.
Still don't have a good Fantastic Four adaptation. My God.
I hate that.
Now we going What, 4 for 4 with the movies? 4 for 4?
I said
No!
I don't see this movie being either good enough or bad enough to dethrone 2015's my favorite Fantastic Four movie.
That's true. I kind of agree with that.
Absolutely nothing works in that movie, which makes it hilarious. This movie at least looks like it's going for some respect to the characters, which already makes it slightly better than Fantastic Four 2015. So it cannot be bad enough for me to like it better than Fantastic Four 2015.
That's very valid.
It would be funny if they end the movie the exact same way as the 2015 movie.
No. They're gonna come to the present, and then the thing is gonna say, "Well, looks like we gotta avenge some people." And Reed's gonna say that again. It's gonna be like, "They will return in Avengers Doomsday."
Avengers Doomsday, and RDJ shows up.
Avengers Doomsday episode is gonna be like 5 hours long.
If RDJ shows up in this movie next weekend, Superman's legs are cooked. No matter how good or bad movie is, if RDJ shows up, people are not talking about Superman for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, they're gonna be glazing. I mean, it's how the timing works. You know, you talk about something that's really shiny in front of you, and so you see something else that's really shiny. And you just move on. Like,
See, that's the thing that bothers me so much. Like I brought up the Superman Returns review I did. It's like the whole point of Superman is learning to move on and learning to kind of accept every part of your past and move on to build a future for yourself. And that's like the opposite of what this movie does.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, no. I mean, the only time they actually tried was Man of Steel. They can't do that no more. So we got Superman Returns 2 right now. That's what it is.
It is pretty much Superman Returns 2, yeah.
It's literally Superman Returns 2. It's quite literally. If they said, hey, this is like a sequel to the Donner movies, but this and a third, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, I could probably see it a little bit more. This is the Superman Returns that came out when I was a kid. I probably like it a bit more. But yeah. Only because Superman actually punches somebody in this movie. Superman does not punch a single soul. I'm sorry. I mean, granted, you don't have to. He doesn't have to punch people because he's Superman. At the same time, man, you got Superman in the movie for like 3 hours and all he does is stare at the camera. What are you doing, Superman? Superman is a strange movie. That's a strange movie.
You know, I actually kind of fucked with it because it just felt like so different everything that comes out today. Like,
yeah.
You definitely see how people were like bored with it when it came out, but going in expecting like the typical superhero formula, and it's just like so unique. It definitely had me intrigued.
It's a brooding movie, and you know, and it's so interesting because that still has my favorite Lex Luthor. But every time I bring that up, people remind me who Kevin Spacey is.
Like, God damn it.
Like, you can't even hype up the movie because, like, Bryan Singer, I mean, like, if you're honest, one of the best horror movie directors. But then you say that and you think about, like, dang, Bryan Singer, like, sucks, man. That guy sucks. How he give me X2? He sucks, man. Guys.
Kevin Spacey is your favorite?
Oh, no! How you got the antagonist is a freaking pedophile and the director of pedophile too? What are we doing? Oh, Lord have mercy. Yo, look, man. Superman, you may be cooked on the big screen. Now watch. We're going to come back here next year, talk about Supergirl, and Supergirl probably going to be the better movie. If Supergirl is better than Superman, I'm probably going to crash out. How Supergirl better than Superman? Now, can Supergirl be better than Superman?
Oh no, I have like a lot more faith in Supergirl than I do with Superman. Just maybe I'll touch alone.
Oh yeah, at the end of the movie when she showed up, I was like, hold on. I'll see your movie. Go ahead, man. Is that because she came in and hold on, man, hold on. kind of rubbing the chin a little bit, like, oh, go ahead, Supergirl. I didn't know you had sauce like that. All that energy she has, man, ain't no way. Oh my goodness. We definitely gonna see. We gonna be back here next weekend. Not next weekend. Next year. Next weekend, Fantastic Four. I'm not being here for that. Fantastic Four gonna be crazy, y'all.
We get that in the trailer though.
Wait, James Cameron coming to save the year.
James Gunn.
For real, bro.
I'm so shocked they haven't released the trailer yet.
I'm surprised too, but I guess they just don't like doing it nowadays. I miss the era when you get a trailer like 8 months or a year before the movie.
Yeah.
Well, okay. To be fair, putting the Way of Water trailer for the Multiverse of Madness just made so much more sense because that was like a big event movie. There was 3D appeal to it. Thunderbolts A made no money. B, nobody saw it in 3D. Well, nobody saw it, period. I just think Fantastic Four definitely has that event movie feel to it. Plus, it's big old sci-fi space. It has that 3D appeal as well. I think they made the right choice holding off.
You think it's coming up? You think it's a part of Fantastic Four?
100%. There's no way it's not with Fantastic Four.
I mean, whatever. They don't really have any other big tentpole releases until.
You have Zootopia, but that's a month before release. We'll probably get the second trailer then. But
dang.
True.
How much money y'all think that gonna make? Sorry, that's gonna be a crazy box office conversation.
no, yeah, that's a billion for sure. Especially because I think Zootopia 2 actually had potential to be good. Like, Moana 2 was a Disney Plus show that got turned into a movie. Zootopia 2 was just always a movie. I think Zootopia 2 can actually be good.
Alright, well, I think we'll call it there then.
Yeah,
of course.
Wow,
Thanks so much for having me on, man.
For sure, man.
No, yeah, this is a lot of fun.
We'll have you back next year for Supergirl.
Bro, we'll just do this for the DC releases, for sure.
Yeah, sure, for every DC release.
Every DC
Yeah,
release.
honestly, I'm down with that. I never finished Future Commandos, so...
Neither did I. I never even watched Peacemaker.
Oh,
You never watched Peacemaker?
No.
Now let's not act like he absolutely has to watch Peacemaker.
Well, I watch it before season 2 comes out. I'll probably watch it now.
Have fun. That show had some cool moments, but then you're like, dang, James Gunn did write this, huh?
That does happen in every James Gunn project. That's how you do get reminded that James Gunn wrote this. It happens every time.
Podcast about Peacemaker season 2. We should do that. You're right. Let's do that.
We'll do that for every DC release.
Alright, bet.
Yeah. The next Peacemaker episode, I'm gonna be like...
Peacemaker comes out like, October?
Yeah, no, August.
Isn't it August?
August?
Yeah.
Like next month, August?
Yeah, next month. In the next month.
Oh, okay.
Real soon.
I didn't know, I thought it was like...
Not rewatching season 1.
Oh yeah, August 21st.
Well, if someone was like, people would say you couldn't pay me to rewatch that, I'd pay someone to ensure I never have to, like, witness season 1 again.
We go see it. Alright, so I'm gonna head out today.
Alright.
We'll catch y'all later.
Alright, cool. Thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thank you so much. We're gonna be back on Peacemaker.
For sure.
Alright.
Season 2.
See you later.
See you, man.